Hello. Hi there. I kind of don't like streaming this late. I'm like way too tired. Streaming this late is not a great idea. I'm like not in the right headspace. I can't come up with good titles. I had a great title for this video or for this stream. Like the thumbnail was already set in stone, but I had a good title for the stream and I couldn't write it down and I forgot it. And now I'm just pissed. So I had to come up with one that like kind of matched what I wrote, and now I'm just really annoyed. Look at me chugging my tea. Ugh. Yep. Chugging the tea. Okay. Hello. Hello. What's up, Johan? How was your day? My day was okay. I didn't sleep super well, so like right after I got home from work, like I should have streamed, but I was so fucking tired, I just went to bed. And I'm still sleepy. I'm still sleepy. It wasn't enough. Like I need more. I need more. Give me more power. Anywho, let's start with use analysis. We're not gonna start with mine. I'm gonna try to avoid doing mine until the very end, just because you could have already read mine, but we couldn't have read them's or theirs. This is the analysis and impression piece with satisfaction level 410. This time the theme is Kazuya's guilt. It depicts the guilt he feels towards Yomori-san. There was no appearance of Sumi-chun this time. Huh. Okay. It's something that both the readers and Kazuya should already understand. Light muscle training and Choco Zap level won't produce any visible changes in the body by the time of the date. What Kazuya should originally be doing isn't external changes but internal ones, such as sorting out the relationship with Ruka or improving his own weaknesses. Well, wouldn't the relationship with Ruka be an external change? Well, okay. To be fair, he didn't say break up with Ruka. He said sort things out with Ruka. Fair. He's the one of the only people who's like, oh, he didn't just break up with her, just sort it out, just figure it out, you know, which is yeah, I completely agree. And Minnie's talking about all this like superficial change that's not going to do anything. Like Minnie's trying to get him to do these superficial. Hey, you can fix your teeth, you can like fucking clean yourself up and shit. And it's like, okay, that's nice. That's not making him a better man, right? All of Minnie's improvements of what being better is purely superficial. However, Kazuya is escaping into a straightforward direction of muscle training. By showing that the direction Kazuya's efforts is off base, it emphasizes Kazuya's immaturity. Not simply immaturity, but like I kind of disagree with the element of immaturity. You're like not completely. I just think that's only one part of it. Another part of it is he doesn't know what the fuck he wants, right? The big thing is that dude, you can go muscle training all you fucking want. If you perceive yourself as someone who's going to fucking quit when you get the thing that you want, you're gonna quit. It doesn't matter. Why are you even bothering? See what I mean? So the problem is perception. The problem is like, okay, it's identity. It is how you perceive yourself. It is also, yes, of course, about immaturity because this is about becoming an adult, right? These are all superficial elements on what becoming an adult means, but nobody seems to be talking about how Minnie's reinforcing this. I kind of hope he mentions this. Nobody seems to be really mentioning how Minnie's fucking reinforcing this. Umi-kun is a character who's easily misunderstood by Kazuya and readers alike. Even now, there are lingering suspicions like, does Umi-kun have some ulterior motive? Or will he secretly report Kazuya and Ruka to Chizuru? But by having Kazuya say, sorry for doubting you, you're actually a great guy, it leads to a reevaluation of Umi-kun. Okay? The mob's line, just right, isn't something you'd normally use. The reason Mr. Miyajime didn't have the mob say big is because it would ruin Yamori-san's character. Ah, right, so they're talking about Minnie's boobs. Minnie's boobies. They say Minnie's boobs are just right. They're the perfect size. They don't say they're super big like Chizuru. So that's, yeah, yeah. Let's see. It would ruin Yamori-san's character. Saying big would carry too strong of a connotation of a sexual object, so it's meant to convey healthy and well balanced. and it's also to differentiate from Chizuru, who's genuinely big. Uh, yeah, yeah, it's meant to. Minnie looks healthy. That's the funny part. Minnie looks healthy, and like to some degree, she kind of takes good care of her body. But like that's actually, I would argue, part of the illusion of Minnie. That Minnie looks in great shape. That Minnie looks healthy. It disguises something. Everything about Minnie. So the big thing is that, and I say that I'll talk about it when we get to it. Minnie essentially, the big theme of this chapter is masks and lies. You can see past Minnie's mask. Oh, sorry, you can see past Kazuya's mask from the fucking cover. Like literally, frame one, frame one. Literally, this dude's like about to like start his fucking start his fucking attack, and you can see it frame one where it's gonna hit, what he's gonna do. You know, um, and so when you look at Kazuya, instantly you can tell. Oh yeah, okay, this is a mask. This is a disguise. You look at Minnie and you can't tell. It's not so like you can, if you dig hard enough, you can figure out and break down the mask. But you have to look hard enough to recognize it. A part of that is literally Minnie's body. You have to be able to like recognize like aspects of her body as a person to recognize how that too is part of her mask. How she presents her body is part of the mask. That's a big thing too. Let's see. Here you can see how Kazuya normally feels about Yamori's son. To Kazuya, Miss Yamori is a sympathetic supporter who cheers on his romance with Chizuru. It is not that he's embarrassed to discuss sexual topics with her because she's a woman. Rather, his greater anxiety is that she might feel disillusioned with him for betraying her trust. Well, no, we've already seen he feels like no, this is not true. This is actually inaccurate. I can prove it to you. I have actual proof. There is a chapter that literally talks about this. And yes, it is in fact because she's a girl. That is absolutely a part of it. Um, but just not like how you think. In particular, it's Kazuya's like there's some truth to this, but I think a part of her being a girl is somewhat part of it. Um, let me pull it up right here. Chapter 325. Minnie talks about Chizuru, how Chizuru will give him an answer, and just make her comfortable before she talks. Okay. And he imagines these ridiculous fantasies, and he looks at Minnie, and he's like, "Well, I don't know. You think so? I can't tell her. This is the one thing that I really can't tell her. These perverted thoughts. He feels like he's not allowed to feel these things, and say them to Minnie. And before this, one of the reasons Kazuya actually came to talk to Minnie here is specifically because he was feeling these thoughts. Because if you go to the previous chapter, what triggers him going to talk to Minnie, right? Literally, this is a big thing. Like Kazuya, where is he? He's texting Chizuru, and he is at a DVD store after being his meat because he can't hold it in. He's feeling too much desire, and then he imagines all these thoughts and he says, okay, is it wrong for me to have these feelings, Mizuhara? Is it wrong for me to have these feelings? Now, not that I hate myself any less for it. He sees Minnie, he texts Minnie right after right after he says this stuff. He goes to talk to Minnie and never once discusses these feelings. Instead, what does Minnie do? Right? Because she doesn't know, she leads him down this entire path of like needing to perfect something, need to do all this extra bullshit that he doesn't need to do. See what I mean? So at the root of everything is Kazuya's desires. These feelings that he's questioning if he's even allowed to have. He's questioning if he's allowed to even feel this way. And Minnie being a girl and him not being able to talk to her is central to this, even if in this moment he's not acknowledging it. Specifically because Minnie being a girl reflects how his fear of him telling Chizuru about this would make Chizuru not like him. See what I mean? So he's correct about the disillusionment. He says like he has a greater anxiety that she might feel disillusioned with him for betraying her trust. He's somewhat correct, but this is all deeply rooted to the feelings of desire and the fact that Minnie is a girl and she's going to judge him for being a monkey brain. Okay? Now, I don't think Minnie's gonna judge him for feeling sexual desire, specifically because she's told him in the past, "Ayo, girls feel horny too." Right? She's told him in the past, "Ayo, master, girls get horny too." Minnie was the one who first got this shit into Kazuya's head. Okay? However, there's something kind of important here. Minnie has never seen Chizuru horny. That's kind of important. Minnie has never seen these like other sides of Chizuru because Chizuru's very good at hiding it. So Minnie would probably be like, Chizuru's different. Right? That's where I can see the problem arising. Minnie reinforcing Chizuru being different and not liking this. Whereas normal girls would not be so weirded out by this, right? So there's this again what's gonna happen is you're gonna have a clash. You're gonna have this clash of just like, okay, there's this one direction, here's this other direction that does not align with each other. And that's how, in some sense, Minnie might betray Kazuya's feelings. It'll be like unintentional, you know. She's gonna scare him into not being able to talk about this with Chizuru, because that's Kazuya's deepest fear that Chizuru's not gonna like him for feeling this way. Yamori notices that something is up with Kazuya, but she gets annoyed that he won't open up to her about it. However, she keeps her spirits up by promoting Chocozap in a work-related way. When it comes to celebrities, it used to be Paris Hilton, but now it's the eldest Kardashian sister. Huh? I thought it was the youngest. Yeah, but isn't it interesting? It's all Western celebrities. Paris Hilton, Kardashians. You know, it's very intentional. It's Western celebrities because Western celebrity culture is kind of fucking insane. Look at Iomori-san. Looking at Iomori-san, both Kazuya and the mobs feel restless, but they aren't strongly excited because Iomori-san is a healthy character, and it's to share with Kazuya that the readers the sense of, I feel like I've seen something I shouldn't have. This also shows Iomori-san's positioning within the work. And that's the thing. That's Minnie's thing. She does that without even realizing, because she does that all the time. Because why does she go to the machine in the first place? She goes to it specifically because the youngest Kardashian sister used it, and the youngest Kardashian sister knows that if she uses a machine like this on TV, it would get attention. Oh, look, you can see her boobies while she's doing the work. Ooh, right? The way she's lifting and moving her arms. Oh man, you are seeing something you shouldn't. Except you know, it's very intentional that they got on that machine, knowing full well that was the case. Kazuya has no obligation to tell Yamori-san about his relationship with Ruka. However, he thinks that the act of hiding it amounts to deceiving her. Yamori-san is always someone reliable who listens to Kazuya's troubles and gives him a push on the back. It's only natural that he can't tell Chizuru about this relationship with Ruka, but he should be able to tell Yamori-san. I can't believe he doesn't see the problem with his own words. It is a problem. No, Kazuya should absolutely be able to tell Chizuru. No. No, Kazuya should be able to talk about this with Chizuru. Your partner should be your best friend, not someone you can't talk to about things. And that's the problem with Minnie. She's Kazuya's best friend, but she's also literally his worst fucking enemy. So no, I really disagree with this. I don't know if there's like nuance in the Japanese that's missing, but let's see what else he wrote. But I won't say it, and I can't say it. Even though she's cheering me on, I'd fall into self-loathing for lying and deceiving her. I'm in a state where I'm about to be crushed by the guilt. The guilt towards Chizuru stems from romantic feelings, but the guilt towards Yamori-san comes from betraying her trust. It's the same guilt, but of a different kind. It's more than that. It's not just betraying Minnie's trust. It's the fact that Minnie endlessly supports him, and he feels like he owes her, and that support adds guilt, which in turn is placing Kazuya in Chizuru's position, where basically Chizuru feels guilt for all the things Kazuya did for her, and she's trying to atone for that. Literally, like Kazuya feels guilt right now for all the things Minnie did for him, and he's trying to atone for that. Do you see the problem? You can't form a proper relationship with someone, romantic or otherwise, when it's built on owing someone something. That is a big fucking problem. You can't do that. That's why it's so fucking stupid when people online were saying, "Oh my god, Chizuru like owes Kazuya a relationship for everything he did for her." It's like, no, that's not how fucking love works, dipshit. That's not how it fucking works, idiot. You don't owe someone anything. That's not how it fucking works. Pay attention to Yamori-san's lines. Even though she's asking the same thing on page 12, it's, by the way, Master, did something happen? While on page 20, it changes, by the way, something definitely happened, right? On page 12, even though she thinks Kazuya's behavior is off, she's not convinced yet. So she calls him Master to keep their usual distance and ask lightly. Ooh, good catch. I don't think we... Let's see. Is that in the English? Is that in the English? I'm curious. Oh yeah, she does say, "Hey, Master." And then the mask drops. By the end of it, the mask drops. How do we start the chapter with a mask? By the end of it, Minnie's mask drops. She's deadpan. She's dead-faced. Whereas when she first asked, the mask was still on. And in the beginning, how does the chapter start? With a mask, right? It begins with a mask. It begins with Kazuya's mask. The moment you turn the page, the mask drops. So, you have Minnie. Most of the chapter, she's wearing the mask. You can't really tell it's the mask. But the mask drops in how she speaks. How she speaks and how she looks completely changes the mask. She's no longer wearing a mask by the end of this. She's not even talking like where her framing, right? The framing is very intentional here. She's still framed like she's below Kazuya. She's intentionally still framed like she's below Kazuya, reinforcing the master-student dynamic, intentionally so. But in contrast, how she speaks is no longer in line with that dynamic. The way she speaks feels almost higher than him, intentionally so. This is meant to mirror Ruka, who was quite literally below Kazuya at the end of their encounter, but she felt like she was higher than him. And that's exactly what's going on here. It's the same exact thing. Minnie is standing in the same exact position of their master-student dynamic, but she's no longer playing by that mask. In turn, flipping their roles, Minnie is actually above him, whereas Kazuya feels like he's below her. She's looking up at him, he's looking down at her. But one feels more in control than the other. The mask is gone. There is a change. It conveys a strong emotion to not let him dodge or gloss over it. Agree. Confession. It seems like he'll be so again, confession in this case is more like coming clean, like confessing a sin. It seems he'll be questioned by Yamori-san and end up talking about the matter with Ruka. We'll have to pay attention to how Yamori-san guides Kazuya in that moment. As for Sumi-chan's appearance, we don't really have much to work with. Let's see. We'll read this one, and maybe we'll read this other one, and that'll be enough. Next time, when I tell Yamori-san about the matter with Ruka, I don't think he'll be exasperated or angry with Kazuya. He'll probably tell Kazuya that Yamori-san might tell Ruka about it later after hearing Kazuya's side, like he told Chizuru on satisfaction there, or that it'd be better off to tell Chizuru sooner rather than later before it's too late. Again, there are things that indicate that he probably won't be angry. I agree. I don't think Minnie would be angry. Minnie might try to figure out what happened. It would be even more interesting if Minnie, like, labels it for what it is. I think that would be the most fascinating thing. Like, Minnie is actually quite observant, and it would be really interesting for Minnie to literally just label it for what it is. Oh, no, dude, she raped you. That was sexual assault. Like, no, that, dude, she's in the wrong. The problem is that I could see that becoming an issue where Ruka is purely framed as the one in the wrong. And while she is in the wrong, ultimately Kazuya doesn't see how in some ways he created this entire situation and not accepting himself. That's kind of how I can see Minnie essentially betraying Kazuya's feelings. She's betraying them without realizing by reinforcing to him the toxic positivity. That could make some sense. where what Minnie says is correct on surface level, but it's failing to acknowledge Kazuya's own mistakes in the situation, and in turn, his own desires that he's not really addressing and facing. Do you see what I mean? And that's why I think Sumi could be so interesting, because she could act as a counter to Minnie, where Sumi introduces negativity into the narrative, but it is necessary negativity. It is negativity in order to reach real positivity. That's why I think Sumi could act as a reversal of the role you expect her to play. Um, let's see. Verify the facts, accept the guilt, urge setting matters with Ruka, wait for Kazi's decision on whether to tell Chizuru. Imagine it will proceed along those lines. Except I could see Minnie being impatient and Kazuya not taking action. It really could become a problem, because every time Kazuya doesn't do something, Minnie goes and does it for him. So regardless of how this plays out, there could very well be real problems. It could unintentionally reinforce to Kazuya, you're not in the wrong. So in turn, he doesn't feel like he addressed the thing with Ruka at all, right? He could just not end up addressing the Ruka thing at all and just keeps putting it to the fucking side. There's so many ways this could go, and a huge part of it is how Minnie frames herself like a judge more than a friend. Even though she will be a friend in that moment, it's layered. The episode focused on Kazuya's guilt, didn't it? I think next time Yomori-san will help alleviate that guilt. I don't think so. I think she'll give you the illusion that she alleviated his guilt. She'll give you the illusion that she's helping him. In reality, I think she's setting up for Kazuya's guilt to be much, much worse. So, like, my mistake in my earlier stream was essentially assuming the way Minnie would go about it is it would immediately make Kazuya's guilt worse. I think it'll both do that and it won't. Where it'll be kind of more like a trap, a festering trap, where you think, oh, like Kazuya feels better, he feels like he overcame this thing, but there are things he's not addressing that I've talked about before, where it's like the Ruka thing. The big thing is that Kazuya is not addressing what it is that happened and how it makes him feel. So on one hand, while him talking to Minnie is a good thing, on the other, it could be a bad thing because of how he's not gonna like define it for himself. You know, he's gonna let Minnie define it for him. And I think that's going to be a big thing. Minnie's probably going to define what Ruka did to Kazuya for him, which in of itself is a problem, I think. Like, you shouldn't let someone else define what someone did to you for you. You should be able to do that yourself. And so I think that's going to be the big thing. It's like Minnie's going to give the illusion that she's doing that. And I think next chapter might give us the illusion of real positivity. Reiji's been really good at that lately. He gives you this illusion that things are really positive, right? He gives you this illusion, oh, this is great. Everything is going fine. Woo. So I could see Minnie essentially luring Kazuya into a false sense of security. Abso-fucking-lutely. Let's see. Hear me out, Faye. I respond on X with this, and I think it has been something so bad, like someone telling Minnie everything you like is stupid. Again, it's hard to know. It's possible. I could see someone telling Minnie what you like is stupid, which is why she maybe like retreats so much. Showing why Minnie doesn't trust anything anyone tells her deep down. Let's see. Okay, so that's roughly that. Let's go to the serious discussion for now. And then we can do a little more Twitter. First of all, good morning. Okay. I want to start by highlighting the cover. Seeing Kazuya shirtless and Chizuru hugging him gives a very good feeling, as if it's all his effort paying off, even if it's just the cover. It's comforting to see the two of them like that. Mishime took... Oh, wow. This dude fell for the cover, hook, line, and sinker. Oh, this poor man fell for the cover, hook, line, and sinker. Damn. There's like nobody here. Shit, bro. Why is nobody here? That blows. Damn. Maybe streaming late isn't a good idea. It does get a little demoralizing when like all of chat just fucking bails. But I guess I'll just keep going. It is what it is, you know. Yeah, let's just keep going. So I feel like this dude kind of fell for the cover, hook, line, and sinker. You know, it just Kazuya's efforts aren't paying off. So I don't know. Mizumi Sensei took Minnie to another level in the chapter. Okay. Chapter 4 and 10. First class seems like an academia chapter with comedy, etchy, Minnie, but looking more closely, it revolves more entirely around one thing, guilt. The academia isn't just any setting. It seems much more like Kazuya's desperate attempt to silence his own mind. Academia? Or academy? I don't know why I'm saying academia. It's academy. Why is he saying academy? It's just a fucking gym. It's just a gym. Reminds you of someone, right, Chizuru? The repetitive noise of the machines, the constant clunk, 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 the sweat, the exaggerated physical extortion. None of this sounds like a normal workout. It sounds like someone trying to get tired enough to not think. He even says he needs to get rid of these idle thoughts. It doesn't seem like he's training his body. It seems like he's trying to escape his own consciousness. Yep, okay. And the consciousness was awakened in the previous chapter by Umi. No, it started with Ruka. Umi just it added to another thing to it. Every single character is gonna awaken something else. That's just literally what it's gonna be. Every single character is gonna awaken another thing in Kazuya. It's literally waking up. Kazuya's whole thing is about waking up to stop dreaming and start living. Whereas Chizuru needs to start dreaming. That's what's going on. That is literally what it is. Kazuya, every single character is waking something else up in him, whether it be physical or emotional. Umi's was emotional, Ruka's was physical. So Minnie is probably going to be something in between, which we've already seen. She's both triggered him emotionally and she's triggered him physically. Let's see. Chapter 409 took away all the excuses Kazuya used to hide emotionally. Before, he couldn't think that Chizuru was confused, that maybe she didn't know what she wanted, that maybe she didn't feel anything. After the conversation with Umi, that ends. He now knows that she is taking this seriously. She rejected Umi, that there's an emotional preparation happening, and July 11th has become a real milestone. 410 seems to be the direct impact of that on his head. During training, thoughts overflow in his mind, and they're not random. They're exactly Umi's words echoing nonstop. She might be in love. Show me how it looks. I'm rooting for you. She rejected me. Preparations have started. July 11th, the gym becomes almost a backdrop for those phrases hammering in his head. And the words that dominate the entire chapter is guilt. Yes, guilt. But it's not just guilt in relation to Chizuru, it's also and mainly in relation to Minnie and Ruka. He feels betrayed. He feels he's betrayed Minnie. Okay, so maybe it's the reverse. He's feeling like he's betraying Minnie, whereas Ruka betrayed him. I've talked about how Minnie is the reversal of Ruka. So Kazuya feels like he's betraying Minnie, whereas Ruka is the one who betrayed him. So maybe it's not that Minnie will straight up betray him. Maybe it's not that Minnie will straight up betray him because she's the inverse of Ruka. However, she's literally in Ruka's exact positioning. It's just she's going to handle it a little differently. I think it's going to be more like an emotional thing, and it's not going to be like an immediate. I don't know. Maybe Minnie won't betray him because she's the reversal of Ruka, who did betray him. But I don't know. I'm just not sure. I'm just not sure. Maybe she won't betray him, but in her non-betrayal, she leads him down the wrong path. Remember, this is all just guessing. Let's see. But it's not just guilt in relation to Chizuru. Okay, so we already read this. Precisely with the person who had. Okay, he feels he's betraying Minnie S plus trust by not being able to be honest with her. Minnie has just like blind faith in Kazuya. I don't know about trust. She clearly doesn't actually trust him because she constantly tells him what to do and then tells him just be yourself, and then it doesn't work, and so she can't possibly presume it's his fault. She thinks it's Chizuru's fault. Do you see the problem? Minnie's blind trust is an issue. She has such blind faith in Kazuya, there's no way in hell it could possibly be his fault that he was rejected. It has to be Chizuru's fault. That's the problem. She has such blind faith in Kazuya, she can't possibly recognize it's his fucking fault. She idolizes him. Let's see. Precisely with the person who has always been by his side, supporting him, believing in him, and helping him. When he thinks there's no easy way to talk about it, even with Yamori, it seems like the manga is making it clear that this conversation needs to happen. Ruka appears as the perfect psychological pressure. At the moment, he's trying to focus on July 11th, on becoming a worthy man. His phone vibrates and with her selfie. It feels like a past knocking at the door of the worst possible moment. This part that seems like pure fan service with Minnie is actually one of the most important in the chapter. Visually, it's etchy. Psychologically, it's shame. Every time he notices her breast, the thought that comes to mind isn't excitement, but self-loathing. He calls himself pathetic, says he hates it, even thinks about a vasectomy. The desire doesn't appear as a joke, but something that directly clashes with the guilt he's feeling. Minnie, on the other hand, functions as an emotional radar all the time. She quickly realizes that something is wrong, that he's acting strangely, that he seems down even when theoretically everything is going well, and he lies. This weighs heavily because among all the characters, Minnie has always been the person he's been the most honest with, and now he simply can't be honest with the one who has always supported him. And yet, there's an irony here. She's not honest with him. When he thinks he can't even talk about it with her, it almost seems like a warning from Reiji himself that this is exactly what's going to happen next. The chapter title, "The Boyfriend and His Pecs," ends up being almost a double joke. It talks about the chest, a chest he's training, Minnie's breast being highlighted, but also the idea of masculinity, desire, and shame all mixed together. Yeah, I agree. And the chapter ends without closure. Uh, plus, your chest, where your pecs are, also disguises your heart. They're like right over your heart. While at the same time, you never see Kazuya's pecs, but you do see Minnie's. Let's see here. And the chapter ends without closure. On the stairs, in the silence, in Minnie's gaze, in the hey. This isn't the ending, it's the preparation for the important conversation next chapter. Chapter 410 doesn't exist to show Kazuya working out. It exists to show the emotional weight that fell on him after chapter 409. He knows Chizuru is taking this seriously. He knows he hasn't resolved the situation with Ruka. He knows he is lying to the person he trusts most. And that's a problem that Minnie is the person he trusts most. This combination creates such a large internal conflict that he tries to resolve it physically, but fails because the problem isn't in his body, but in his omissions. Yeah, okay. Although training to gain stamina is welcome. The result is a cycle of guilt, escape, failure, and more guilt. And the cycle can only be broken one way, by talking. Minnie has always supported him, but her bias is unbalanced, and we get a glimpse of Sumi in the near future. She usually brings clarity to the turmoil in his mind. I love your analysis. I was very curious about what you would have to say this week because I know that you're a big Minnie fan. I'll give her credit. She noticed that Kazuya acted strangely. His behavior didn't align with how she thought he would feel now that things were on the right track. Minnie has no way of knowing why Kazuya would feel guilty because Kazuya has never talked with her about his sexual desires. That was the one thing he kept hiding from her. I agree that it would be good for Kazuya if he had someone to talk about what happened. He doesn't deal well alone with his problems. I just have doubts that Minnie is equipped to help him deal with this particular problem. I'm curious to hear your opinion. Do you think Minnie will understand what happened to Kazuya? Do you think she will realize that he was abused, or she will think that Kazuya messed up here? I think it'll be a bit of both. She's gonna do both. She's gonna recognize Kazuya was abused, but then she's gonna tell him, well, Chizuru has a distrust of men, so Chizuru is gonna be like, hey, I don't trust you anymore. Do you see how she's gonna do both? She's gonna tell him Ruka abused you, which is correct. She absolutely fucking did. While at the same time reinforcing to him that he messed up because Chizuru has a distrust of men. In turn, pinning it on Chizuru, but making it his fault. Which in turn, what does that do? Frame Chizuru like a bad person. Minnie subconsciously framing Chizuru as a bad person and not realizing it. In turn, somewhat betraying Kazuya's feelings. I literally think it's gonna be both. Minnie in this chapter is literally a mix of Kazuya's emotional turmoil and his physical turmoil. Kazuya's physical turmoil is his physical desires, his sexual needs. Kazuya's emotional turmoil is his guilt from those sexual needs. Minnie is literally a perfect conduit for both. Minnie is a mix of Umi and Ruka. That's kind of what she is. She is positioned like Ruka And yet, she is somewhat similar to Umi in the role she plays because she's the friend in the picture, just as Umi is Chizuru's friend. She's literally stuck between the two. She's stuck between the girl who is helping him out, who also somewhat has feelings similar to Ruka, while at the same time, she's kind of like Umi, who's the friend who's being a support. See what I mean? So so Minnie essentially evokes both of these emotions intentionally. She is literally in the middle. And the more I thought about it, the more I came to the realization that, like, oh, Minnie's going to do both. She's both literally going to help him and tell him exactly the right things, while at the same time betraying him and making it worse. And that is literally the realization I came to. I'm like, that's literally what she's going to do. Because if you go back to the past arcs, that's exactly what she's done. She gives Kazuya solid advice paired with horrendous fucking advice, right? Like, she'll tell him, be yourself, which is solid advice. Just trust yourself, be yourself. You're a great guy. There's nothing wrong with you. And then she'll proceed to tell him, but you can only do this and this and this, because if you don't do this, you fail. So which is it? Be myself or do this and fail? Right? And that's the thing. That's exactly what Minnie's going to do. She's going to do both. That is literally her character in a nutshell. She's going to do both. Let's see. Minnie at this point in the story is much more than the friend who notices something is wrong. Narratively, she usually appears precisely at the point where the relationship between Kazi and Chizuru gets emotionally stuck. No, it's more of the illusion of getting stuck, usually. So for instance, that's intentionally reinforced to you at the start of the 3-month time skip. It's reinforced to you in the 3-month time skip where it's even reinforced to you in the movie arc where Kazuya like there's a lot of these. It's just basically Minnie is good in moderation, but she tries to force change and it ultimately doesn't work and makes things worse. That's the problem. So it's more so the illusion that their relationship is stuck, not that it literally is. Minnie introduces conflict into the relationship, but it's not because it's actually stuck, you know? This has happened before. After the Hawaii arc at the Isekai, and especially after the kiss, it was Minnie who took Kazi aside and directly confronted Chizuru. She bluntly stated that Chizuru was being cruel by leaving him in the dark after everything he has done. More than that, she warned the other girls, Mami, Sumi, or Ruka, might go after him if she continued to push him away. But Chizuru knew that. Chizuru knew that. Under this pressure, Chizuru revealed that she couldn't date anyone until the day of the play. It was there that the date was born that would later result in the invitation for the meeting on the 11th. In other words, it's not the first time Minnie has appeared exactly at the critical point in their relationship, and now again she appears when Kazi is emotionally blocked. This chapter, in fact, isn't about the gym. The gym is just the setting. No, it is about the gym. It is. The focus is on Kazuya's internal state, guilt, shame, and the feeling of betrayal. No, it's not just the setting. The gym is the mask. The gym is the mask and the window. That is a big motif with this series. Mask and windows. The mask is also the window to the soul. So the gym is the mask. Minnie herself wears the mask. Through the gym, you are able to peer into who she is. Through the gym, you are also able to peer into who Kazuya is. You need the gym in order to understand the characters more accurately. The setting is part of the story. It's not just the setting. The setting is fundamental to understanding the characters because it is the mask and the window. He's not training to look good. He's trying to escape his own head. And you wouldn't understand that unless you were placed in the gym. When Minnie looks at him in the stairs and says, hey, what we see is a genuine concern. They are very close. She followed his entire evolution, his entire journey to become someone he deems worthy of Chizuru, and an idea that in part originated from Minnie herself. Therefore, the weathered behavior doesn't match the moment that theoretically should be going well. If he tells her what happened with Ruka, it's unlikely that Minnie will see it as Kazuya messed up. The tendency is for her to see it as Kazuya is destroying himself from the inside. What? It's worth remembering Minnie herself had already warned Chizuru back then the situation could happen. For her, this was never something unimaginable. She lived in Chizuru's house for 30 days, knowing her personality, and knows that deep down everything leads to her and Kazuya being together. It's just a matter of time. At the same time, Minnie doesn't know that Chizuru brought up the topic of betrayal at the Joy Polis meeting. This puts her in a delicate position. She understands the context, she understands Kazuya, but she doesn't grasp the weight of that this information could have if it reaches Chizuru. No, she fucking does. In fact, she has formulated her own beliefs on that Chizuru has a distrust of men. And Minnie saying this would reinforce to Kazuya his own beliefs that Chizuru would no longer trust him. What do you mean? You already have evidence. What do you mean? No, Minnie is framed as support when she is conflict. She presents to you the solution that is in plain view, but at times how that solution blinds you. So, for instance, 3-month time skip. Minnie solves it in 1 day. This both highlights the solution and the problem. Intentionally so. What does that do? It gives you the solution. Okay, you should have just talked, right? Chizuru is fucking up. The problem is she blatantly just blames Chizuru and doesn't see Kazuya's issue in this. Literally in the 3-month time skip, Minnie doesn't see how Kazuya is fucking up. Does Minnie like Kazuya? She's catching feelings, but they're feelings from Kazuya's love for Chizuru rather than like real genuine feelings, if that makes sense. Therefore, the possible conversation next chapter won't be about sex or morality. It'll be about honest guilt and everything Kazuya is repressing, including from her. There's also the possibility that Minnie confronting Ruka when she realizes how unwell Kazuya is. How? She doesn't know where the fuck Ruka is. She just knows they work together. Which could expose Ruka's heart condition, a narrative element that remains hidden and that at the same point will need to be explored. There's a symbolism in the current situation. While Kazuya tries to become physically worthy, he feels unworthy as possible inside. He seeks internal evolution while he seeks external evolution while internally collapsing. And this connects to something that has been building since chapter 408, where she's removing layer by layer everything that allowed Kazuya to hide and only react to life situations. I'm sorry to tell you, that's been happening since the rejection. That's been going on since the rejection. It didn't just start now. It's been happening the whole fucking time. And it's been continuing to happen. From the moment he changed his hair, it's been happening. In your analysis of the last chapter, you said that Kazuya needed to assemble a puzzle to understand Chizuru. But Chizuru is not an indecipherable enigma. She is bad at communicating in everyday life. Her face reveals little, but when she speaks something that comes from her, she speaks with sincerity and emotion. At the meeting, she said, to take good care of himself and prepare for the future in case she were his girlfriend. She spoke about her fear of Grandma Nagomi and his family. She said she couldn't forgive Mommy, talked about Ruka, said she couldn't date because of work and lifestyle. In 380, when she dismisses him, reasons prevailed over emotion. Chapter 385, when he says he would wait 20 or 30 years, her emotions win, and she kissed. No. I hard disagree with this read. No. Chizuru, every single thing she did was from reason. Every single thing she did, including the kiss. After the kiss, emotion takes over. The kiss was an active choice. Active, consistent. Chizuru makes a consistent, active choice the whole fucking time. She is not being controlled by her emotions. Even now, when emotion is controlling her, she stays away knowing full well what these emotions are doing to her. That's one of the reasons she's staying away. She's refusing to let these emotions define and control her. That is one of the reasons Chizuru's not talking to Kazuya. She's staying away so these emotions do not control her. That's a big part of it. It's meant to be a reflection of Kazuya. No, she did not let emotion take over. I completely disagree with that reading. Later in the conversation with Minnie, she reinforces that she needed to focus on acting and gives a date for the end of the work. Further on the phone call, she admits that she feels strange when the subject is him and she's anxious for the meeting. In other words, when Chizuru says something that comes from her, it has no validity for Kazuya, but when the information comes from third parties, he considers it. Guilt, shame, and emotions are consuming Kazuya precisely because during all the time he reacted when he needed to act. He spent 30 days in the house of the person he loves most, and even so, he can't use everything he knows about her to understand the moment she's living. He lacks reasoning because he has too much emotional weight. In the end, everything converges to the same point. If Minnie were to give advice, the most coherent would be just be resolve the situation with Ruka once and for all. No, that won't solve anything. That won't solve anything. That is no different. Dude, that is no different than going to the gym. Resolving the Ruka thing is no different from going to the gym. That is not addressing the problem. Because what is resolving the Ruka thing? Let's play a hypothetical for you. Kazuya, you should go and resolve things with Ruka. Okay, what do? You should end things. Okay, goes to try and end things. He's not going to be able to do it. Because there's too much emotional weight and connection there. Right? There's way too much emotional connection there. What Kazuya needs to do with Ruka is not simply resolve the situation. He needs to understand what he wants to do with Ruka. What do you want with her? What do you got to do? What do you want to do with Ruka? It's not simply just resolve the situation. It's not going to just magically resolve itself. He tried to resolve it prior. It didn't do shit. He tried to resolve it when they were sitting down right after she fucking assaulted him. Didn't do shit. Didn't work because he didn't know what he wanted. What you're describing is an easy solution. It's not going to fucking work. It's not going to fucking work. It's not. That's not the solution. He should ghost Ruka like a Gen Z. I'm gonna pretend what you're saying is satire. For your own good. For your own good, I'm going to believe what you are saying is a joke and not serious. The problem is dragged. No, Ruka is not the problem. She is the face of the problem. She is the mask. In fact, what have I been saying about this entire chapter? It is all about masks. And what does Ruka do? Ruka texts Kazuya and sends him a selfie. And what is the selfie? Her without her ribbon, aka it's her mask. Where's Ruka's hand? Right near her face. Hey, look, it's like I'm putting on a mask. All right? Let me show you. I put on a mask. She is merely the mask of the problem, not the actual fucking problem. That's not what Ruka is. Chizuru has never purely viewed Ruka as the problem. Your problem is framing Ruka as the problem. In reality, Ruka is in part the solution. Ruka, in reality, is in part the solution to this dilemma, to this conflict. But the important part is to recognize she's not merely the problem, similar to his sexual desires. That is what Ruka represents. If you view your sexual desires as a problem, they will create guilt, they will create shame, you will hate yourself. If you start accepting them, you can recognize how, yes, you feeling these desires can cause problems. But when you stop treating them as a problem, suddenly they're not a problem anymore. If Kazuya stops treating Ruka as a problem and just talks to her and engages with her and isn't afraid of her, then naturally he'll come to start. Has there ever showed how Chizuru is sick, right? Chizuru isn't sick. Chizuru isn't sick. What are you talking about? She's not sick. You could say she's lovesick, but she's not sick. She hasn't showed any, signs of actually being sick. What are you talking about? So, no, I disagree with this reading for the most part. Let's see. There's nothing wrong with Kazuya getting a bit fit, but Chizuru never really asked for that, and it made pretty damn clear that he wants for him to be present. The yelling text her, "You idiot," at my tablet arc continues. Sorry, I'm not going to engage with that. Kind of didn't feel very interested. Sorry. Let's see. Maybe heart. She's sick, right? She's not sick. Kami, how old are you? No, bro. Bro. stop it. 15? Oh, you're young. Oh, you're really young. You're really new to this stuff. Ooh, okay. Okay. There are no hard problems for Chizuru. Uh, that's not a thing. Nope, that is not a thing. It has never been shown. If it would be introduced, that would be considered bad writing. I go to college at 15? That doesn't make sense. Unless you were skipping grades and how about we not worry about that? Let's not worry about your age. I somewhat regret asking. Let's just not worry about that. Let's just put it to the side. Um, so look, no. Understand, if Reiji randomly introduces some sort of heart issue in Chizuru that wasn't present before, it would be bad writing. Period. It would be. There was never any signs. There was never really anything like that ever introduced with Chizuru in the past. Rather, Chizuru having a big heartbeat and reacting is meant to be a contrast to Ruka's character. Why? Ruka literally does have a heart condition, and because she has a heart condition, she would be able to recognize that, hey, Chizuru, your heartbeat is literally you being in love. Because how does Ruka define her love? By her heart beating. So, Ruka is the answer to Chizuru's heartbeat. Ruka is also the answer to Kazuya's desires. Not that she's the solution, like have sex with Ruka. No, she is the thing Kazuya needs to address in himself, that he feels these sexual desires that he's not letting out, and he's not being honest about them. Ruka is the challenge to that. That's what Ruka is. Chizuru does not have a heart condition. Her heartbeat is just normal. She's literally just feels a desire to be with Kazuya. But it's just feelings. It's just normal. Okay. There is no heart condition. That's never been a thing. That's not a thing. Chizuru is not sick. There's nothing going on with her. She's perfectly fine. She's perfectly healthy. There's nothing going on with her. Do you think Kazuya should confess to Chizuru about him being sexually assaulted? But that's the thing. Kazuya doesn't know how to define what happened to him. And it's not simply just like, yes, he was sexually assaulted. Ruka did sexually assault him, absolutely. But there's layers to this issue. The issue also directly connects to Kazuya's own sexual desires and feelings. It's not simply just go tell her. It's kind of about understanding what you just experienced and what just happened to you. One part, yes, he was absolutely sexually assaulted. On the other, there's this whole other layer of Kazuya's complicated feelings around Ruka and how he feels the sexual desire. But how that sexual desire is not love, it's just sexual desire. Um he shouldn't just go and be like, "Oh yes," which is because he's not going to describe it well. He's not going to describe it well. He's not going to be able to talk about this well. Kazuya doesn't really fully understand what just happened to him. So, it's not that it wouldn't work, it's just he doesn't know how to talk about it. I think that's the biggest thing. Kazuya should talk to Chizuru, absolutely. He should. Chizuru should be his best friend. You should be able to go tell your partner. But there's layers to this issue. I described them well in an earlier stream when discussing Ruka, but I'll worry about that later. Let's see. Kazuya started going to the gym. He's plagued by guilt. Chizuru seems to be serious while he's having dirty thoughts about her and about Ruka. Then he shows up, not to work out, but to post on socials. Then she hangs out with Kazuya to tell him how the gym is going to make him better. Her positivity makes him feel more guilty. He can't even talk with Minnie about what happened. She notices that he's strangely gloomy, but he tells her it is nothing. When Minnie finally tries the equipment, everyone, including Kazuya, stares at her boobs. He feels more guilty and pathetic again. After leaving, Kazuya now feels guilty for leaving Minnie in the dark about what happened. She asks again what is going on with him. Thoughts? Um, let's see. How long do you think it will take for Kazuya and Chizuru to meet in the manga series? I don't know, dude. I think it's closer than you think. I think it's much closer than you think. I think by the time season 4 airs, they may meet again. So April. By April. So let's do some counting. So 28th. So chapter 410, 412, 413, 415, 416, 417, 418, 419, 420, 421. So either 420 or 421 is when I think the characters are going to meet up again. I think that's when they're going to meet up again. 420 or 421. That seems like a safe bet. That seems like a safe bet. Do you think Chizuru might find out about what happened with Ruka? Kazuya is going to have to tell her. Chizuru is absolutely... No. Chizuru needs to know. Chizuru needs to know. Abso-fucking-lutely. Chizuru needs to know. He has to tell her. He has to be able to discuss this with her. It's not healthy that he can't talk about this with her. This is something Kazuya has bottled in for a long fucking time, and Chizuru has no idea. Because Kazuya's never once indicated Ruka has sexually assaulted him. Not once, but 3 times. She's done it 3 fucking times. And this just happened to be the worst fucking case. And Ruka doesn't recognize what she's done as sexual assault, and Kazuya doesn't fully want to process that what he just experienced is sexual assault. So Chizuru needs to know this because it's important for her character to confront Ruka and to tell her, hey, what you're doing is not love, it is selfish. Ruka needs to be called out by Chizuru, specifically by Chizuru, that, hey, what you're doing is not love, it is selfish. This is very selfish. Whereas Ruka can tell Chizuru what you're feeling is love because of her heartbeat. They are the answer to each other. Chizuru is the answer to Ruka because Chizuru can tell her, like, what you're doing is not love, you are misconstruing love. Whereas Ruka can tell what Chizuru is feeling love. A lot of people said about Okarishi that he didn't take the sexual assault seriously. Kazuya literally has the PTSD symptoms. Oh yeah, he's absolutely taking it fucking seriously. I said this from the fucking start. Like, it's baffling to me. No one seems to think like Kazuya, like Reiji's not taking this seriously. People kept coming into chat. They're like, oh man, this is evidence that Reiji's not taking this seriously. And I'm like, bro, all I'm seeing is the evidence that he's taking it seriously. Even the joke is evidence. Even the way Kazuya is like joking and reacting to things is evidence of that because it all stems from his guilt. You know, sometimes I dislike Chizuru's bullshit, but the fact that she felt so guilty about Ruka and Ruka does all this to them, it's clearly taking advantage of their kindness. Ruka doesn't realize she's taking advantage of their kindness, and I don't really agree with the Chizuru bullshit thing. Chizuru has done stupid shit, absolutely. Chizuru's done stupid shit, but your hatred for her is a lot more like deepened than mine, and I think yours has a lot of bias. I feel like you're kind of a certified Chizuru hater, Roman. You're kind of a certified Chizuru hater. You have a lot of bias towards Chizuru, like a negative bias. And while I understand I have a positive bias, I've called Chizuru out on her bullshit before. So I just, I just think you're a little too biased towards the negative aspect. I think Chizuru would understand him much better than Minnie on this one. Oh, abso-fucking-lutely. Oh no, Chizuru is the one to talk to about this. Abso-fucking-lutely. Not Minnie. I was saying this earlier for anyone who just walked in. I was saying this earlier. Minnie's going to do 2 things. Minnie's going to do 2 things. In my previous stream, I said Minnie would betray him. I think it's going to be 2 things, not just simply betrayal. Minnie is going to both help him and completely understand him. She's going to be on his side because Minnie's always on his side. She's not going to betray him, which would make Kazuya feel safe. In that safety, Minnie's going to make it worse. How is Minnie going to make it worse? Minnie already has the belief Chizuru has a distrust of men. Minnie is then going to reinforce to Kazuya, or at the very least hint to him in some way, shape, or form that, hey, maybe you shouldn't tell Chizuru, which is a problem. No. You should not keep this a secret. Hell no. You should not keep this. There is one thing I am certain of, like fucking certain of. Even if Minnie tells Kazuya to talk to Chizuru, she will indicate to him in some way, shape, or form that talking to her is a bad idea. Because she's done this every fucking time. She's done this every single fucking time. She tells him either talk to her. She gives him like solid advice. Talk to her, create space to talk to her, make her feel comfortable. Proceeds to give him a whole bunch of reasons to almost not do that. And I think that's what Minnie's going to do. That's how she's going to both help him and betray him. She's literally in the middle. That is Minnie. She's literally in the middle. Chapter 398, final slide. Heart problems? No. Okay. So there's an issue with the translation. Let me clear it up for you. There's an issue with the translation. Let me clear it up for you. This is something that was missed by a lot of people. They don't know what was being indicated there. Let me clarify. Okay. So for anyone who seems to think that Chizuru has some sort of heart problems when she says, I think something is wrong with me, let me correct this for you. What Chizuru says in Japanese is not, I think something is wrong with me. She says, I think I've become weird. That's what she says. I think I've become weird. There's a very intentional reason for this. Why? The kanji for weird looks like the kanji for koi, aka the romantic love. Chizuru is, without realizing, literally saying, I think I'm in love. I'm not kidding. That's the point. When Chizuru is talking to Kazuya under the moonlight, chapter 397, when Chizuru is talking to Kazuya under the moonlight, there is a reason this chapter is called The Girlfriend and the Moon. Why? Because in Japanese, when you say the moon is beautiful tonight, Suki sounds like ski. Or sorry, it's Suki, which means moon, sounds like saying Suki, as in I love you. So when Chizuru is talking to Kazuya, she doesn't realize she's literally unintentionally confessing to him. What Reiji is highlighting to you is that Chizuru is literally unintentionally saying, I am in love, I love you. She doesn't realize she's doing this. Because she's literally using all of these things in Japanese language that are directly connected to love. The kanji for weird, the moon. There's probably like one other thing that I can't think of off the top of my head. But literally, when she's eating, when she's fucking eating and she's literally eating her love. Chizuru literally is doing the love stuff and she doesn't realize she's in love. That's the point. Chizuru is not sick in chapter 398. That she's not sick. She's literally just saying, I love you, and she doesn't realize it. She literally doesn't know she's doing this. That's the point. Okay? Chizuru is not sick. Are we clear now? I hope that cleared it up. Yeah, so like literally look it up. Like when you say the moon is beautiful tonight in Japanese, it is you indirectly saying I love you. Because Suki sounds like Suki. Which means I love you. For instance, here's an example. Who here has seen Avatar: The Last Airbender? Who here has seen Avatar: The Last Airbender? Sokka, Sokka's first girlfriend turns into the moon. Sokka's second girlfriend, his name is Suki, which means love. Suki and Suki. Yeah. They literally had that in there. Yeah, they literally had that in there. There's literally a joke about love in Sokka's relationships. My girlfriend turned into the moon. That's rough, buddy. But hey, you got a Suki with you. Alrighty. Kazuya is still following his plan. He didn't really reflect on what Umi's rejection means. He doesn't think about why Umi was rejected, and just that he was rejected. It is ironic that he still tries to become more like the guy who Chizuru just rejected. I can't believe I didn't talk about this. Fuck me. Oh, Varicus, you got me there, buddy. Oh, you got me there. He doesn't reflect on why Umi was rejected, just merely that he was rejected. See you later, Johan-san. Take care, dude. Merely that Umi was rejected. not why he was rejected. Why did any of this happen? Guess what? There is still a mystery to Umi. There is still a mystery to Umi. I fucking told you. I fucking told you there is still a mystery to Umi. It is ironic that he still tries to become more like, okay, I read this. Umi's words probably confirmed to him that Chizuru must have had a change of mind when she kissed him. Kazuya's workout session at the gym reminds me a lot of Chizuru's session at the batting cages. Kazuya is haunted by his guilt, and he's using the workout to push back on his thoughts. Chizuru was distracted by thoughts of Kazuya, and she similarly used the workout to push back on those thoughts. I think Minnie's accusation made her feel guilty about kissing Kazuya. Yep, they are literally feeling the same thing. What Reishi's slowly but surely showing us over this time is like, hey, look, this is what Chizuru's been feeling the whole time. He's making Kazuya feel exactly what Chizuru feels so he can recognize what the fuck he's been doing wrong. That is what every character is slowly but surely introducing into the picture. So there's a reason Ruka's sexual assault of Kazuya is intentionally paralleled with the scene where Chizuru and Kazuya are in the shed. It's intentionally paralleled by that, where it places Kazuya in Chizuru's literal position. And it's like, hey, maybe Chizuru feels really guilty about this. So I've discussed this before. This panel right here, it's verbatim the exact panel of when Kazuya was on top of Chizuru. Verbatim, the exact same fucking panel. Do you see the parallels? Do you see the parallels? Okay. If Kazuya felt unfathomably guilty after what Ruka did, what if Chizuru felt unfathomably guilty after putting Kazuya in that position? Suddenly, this chapter recontextualizes this chapter, and you're like, oh, Chizuru must feel a lot of guilt for the sexual desire she feels for Kazuya. She must feel really fucking bad about that, especially because she doesn't think she can reciprocate his love. She must feel really fucking bad about that. Okay, that's issue one. That's a new layer where Kazuya now understands Chizuru from a different perspective. You go to Umi. Umi introduces another layer to this, where Umi is Kazuya's doubt of Chizuru. Right? Kazuya doubted Umi the whole fucking time. Right? Kazuya doubted Umi the whole goddamn time. And what do you see in chapter 410? I'm sorry for doubting you, dude. I'm sorry for doubting you, dude. You were a great guy. I'm sorry for doubting you. Chizuru probably feels really shit for doubting Kazuya. Probably feels really shit for doubting him. Right? She had a lot of doubts. She was scared. And she probably feels really terrible for that. Oh, look. Guilt. First you're introduced to shame, and now you're introduced to guilt. It's almost like Reishi is intentionally making Kazuya learn exactly what Chizuru's experiencing. He's literally forcing him to be in her shoes to understand what she's fucking going through and how he's fucking ignoring that. Literally like he ignored the blisters from her actual literal shoes. He is forcing Kazuya to wear the same shoes as Chizuru to understand what the fuck she's going through and why she's having such a hard time. Why she's having such a hard time communicating to him. Why she's having such a hard time opening up and how he's not making her feel safe enough to open up to him. Kazuya, look, you can say whatever the fuck you want about Chizuru. There is a simple truth to the issue with Chizuru. Kazuya is not making her feel safe enough to open up to him at times. Where she trusts him, absolutely, but he's not like reinforcing to her, hey, it's okay, you can talk, you're not a bad person, because she blames herself. She doesn't blame him, right? Kazuya can't talk to Minnie because he's blaming himself. He views himself as a bad person. He doesn't view Minnie as a bad person. Do you see the problem? It's not she doesn't trust Kazuya. It's that you just need to make someone who overthinks and worries feel reassured and safe to open up to you. And a lot of people just seemingly ignore this. Kazuya needs this too. Kazuya throughout the date needed a lot of reassurance. She's actively reassuring him. Hey, I'm here. It's okay. You don't gotta be afraid. But that's the thing. He never does that for her. He never reassures her, makes her feel safe enough to open up to him. And I think a lot of people are ignoring that when they're angry at Chizuru. Yeah, maybe she's not communicating to him. Sure, okay, fine. It doesn't change the fact he didn't make her feel like safe enough to communicate to him. Because she thinks she would bother him if she talked to him. And he never really does that for her. The only time Kazuya does that is when he's carrying her home. Where she feels like a terrible person. She tells him, if I were you, I would hate me. And he's like, I don't hate you. I love you more than anything. And that's when Chizuru really starts feeling safe. That's when Chizuru truly felt safe with Kazuya. And then right afterwards, whiplash. He makes her feel unsafe again. Because she kisses him, she does something risky and scary for herself. Something Chizuru has never done. And Kazuya actively reinforces fear to her. Because what does he do? What does Kazuya do? He leaves, doesn't text, doesn't call, doesn't say anything, doesn't even come back. What's Chizuru left to think? What the heck is Chizuru left to think? And then when you get to chapter 388, holy shit, look at her. When you get to chapter 388, just look at the poor thing. Like, there's a reason I'm on Chizuru's side. There's absolutely a fucking reason I'm on her side. Because she is scared. She wants to say things. She wants to talk literally like Kazuya wants to talk right now. Like everything you're feeling for Kazuya right now, where you feel bad for him, you're worried about him because of his guilt, where you want him to talk to someone and open up, that's literally what she's been going through the entire fucking time. And you don't realize that because you're so angry at her. You're so busy being angry at her, you don't realize that. And it's the same thing for Kazuya. If you saw Kazuya out of context, you would be angry at him too. You would feel the same exact anger and frustration at Kazuya too, if you looked at him out of context. Hell, just look at Chizuru in this chapter. Like, bro, look at the poor thing here. She is falling apart. Right? Kazuya is not texting. He's not saying anything. It's been 2 fucking days. He hasn't said a word. What's she supposed to think? She just kissed him. She just did something horrendously scary for herself, and he's not saying anything. She's terrified. Kazuya is dumb as a shoe as she does not tell him things directly. He will never catch the signs. But that's the thing. She's too scared to tell him things. She's really scared. And he's seen how Chizuru, like, puts on a wall. The thing is, he's so busy looking at his own wall, he's not seeing hers. He's so busy looking at his own fears and distractions, he's not seeing hers. So Reiji is like, okay, he's not gonna learn that she's going through all this stuff because he's so busy looking at himself. Okay, I'm gonna put him, I'm gonna put Kazuya through the exact shit Chizuru's going through. I'm gonna make you learn the hard way. Because you refuse to learn. You don't want to learn. You're comfortable. You're content with comfort. So literally, he has Kazuya leave home, literally start a hero's journey, if you will, and force Kazuya into that position where he has to learn. He has to recognize, hey, you're not understanding your partner. This is why you didn't get into a relationship with her. Because you have chosen not to speak and communicate to her and make her feel safe and comfortable to talk to you. I'm really enjoying your channel. I like to write stories as a hobby, and I love dissecting my favorite anime shows and mangas. Rent-A-Girlfriend caught me off guard. I knew it was more good than bad, but I was struggling to prove why. You dissect the story and help me see sides of it that I occasionally miss, and I think that's very cool. Keep up the good content, man. Thank you. That's literally the goal of my channel. That is literally the goal of my channel. I am exploring the story and dissecting it and explaining it to people why they actually engage with it. There's a reason people can't put this story down, and it's because it is actually written really well. You just can't tell. The best example of this is the pacing. Regularly, people will tell you the pacing of the story is shit. However, a lot of these people, what they're saying is they're either looking at tropes, how things appear to them, because it looks like it's looping, it's not going somewhere. It feels like the plot is stagnant, and they'll be like, okay, well, the plot is stagnant and stupid. And then they'll tell you that, and then there's be the people who are fully caught up and reading weekly, and then they'll tell you the pacing is bad. This is where the issue arises. When people binge read this manga, they don't have a hard time at all. And that actually proves the pacing is good. The problem is because when you're reading it weekly, the pacing looks horrendous because it feels like you're being drip fed. It literally feels like you're being drip fed, which is frustrating as shit for people. But the moment you binge read it and you're like, whoa, this shit flows like really smooth. This is really fucking smooth. Like super clean, super easy to engage with, keeps your attention constantly. You're constantly engaging with it. That should tell you everything you need to know that the pacing is good, just not in the way that you understand of what you consider to be good. Furthermore, the thing I was talking about earlier with the tropes for this series are almost a disguise. It literally, something looks like a certain way at first glance, right? When you first engage with their girlfriend, when you see like, oh my god, Kazuya confessed, and then he takes it back, and you're like, god damn it, what the fuck? This is so stupid, it's padding, it's wasting my fucking time, why the fuck is this happening? And then you dissect the scene. You get into the scene. Why did Kazuya take it back? Right? Why did that happen? What was the point of this scene? And suddenly you realize, oh, this is a criticism and a deconstruction of the trope. It is a commentary on this trope. And thus, it's not simply just, oh, this thing is stupid. It's, why is this thing stupid? And then you dig in, and suddenly shit gets way more interesting. The problem is a lot of people don't dig in. Because a lot of people who review and engage with media don't know how to actually really dig in unless they relate to it. That's the problem. So, for instance, Gigok is a really good example of this. Gigok can analyze and dissect media. He's not stupid. He absolutely is not a stupid person. He can. The problem lies with Gigok only knows how to I think, personal opinion, I think Gigok tends to usually just be good at dissecting and exploring media when he can relate to it and understand it. If he cannot understand it, he tends to stick to surface level and not really know how to dig into it. And I think with the romance genre, he tends to be trapped in these surface level tropes because a lot of the romance genre revolves around these tropes. For instance, a lot of romance genres, what they try to do is literally their premise is, hey, look, I took this trope you don't like or you may like, and I subverted it. That is their whole thing. You'll see that regularly. It's the same with the isekai genre. Every single one takes a premise or an idea that you're all too familiar with and then subverts it somehow. Like the other day, I saw one where it's a subversion of like the NTR genre. It's almost like it's making fun of it, where it takes this dude who looks like he would be like in the NTR thing, and it's like, no, he's actually a pure-hearted, wonderful boy. He just looks like he would. And then they bring the girl who looks like she would be pure-hearted and beautiful when she's actually like really dirty and horny. Literally, hey, look, we're subverting the genre. One of my favorite mangas, How Do We Relationship, also starts with this idea of a premise of like subverting this genre, where it starts with this illusion of just like, hey, look, the characters are dating right away, when in reality, the real premise of How Do We Relationship is breakups. It leads you into a false sense of security of like this comfort of relationships. It uses your understanding of, oh my god, the characters don't date until the very end. It starts with them dating, lets them date for a little bit, and then it falls apart. Literally using your understanding and comfort of the genre effectively. That to me is more interesting. Rent a Girlfriend does something similar, where it leads you into a false sense of security by, starting it with, oh my god, page 1, the dude's dating someone. Turns the page, instantly breakup. Instant breakup. As if to immediately tell you, this is not going to be what you think it is. The story from the start essentially tells you, I am not what you think I am. You have to look at me differently. Because it's telling you this is not a story about some magical happy ending. It's about working on a relationship, forming a real bond, and dealing with grief. It deals with all the facets of love and the bond these two characters form. Because when you turn the page, you don't see Mommy, you see Chizuru. And then you turn the page again and Mommy breaks up with Kazuya. That's literally how it starts. I think it's fundamental that the opening page of Rent-A-Girlfriend is Chizuru, not Mommy. It tells you from the start it's about Chizuru. It tells you from opening page it's about Chizuru, it's not about Mommy. This is something like the anime can't capture. This is something the anime fundamentally cannot capture because it is the medium of anime, right? It is the medium of anime, therefore it fundamentally cannot capture this. You're essentially not told the thesis of the story. Right? So like where is it? Open up. Literally page 1, introduction to Kazuya, turn the page, it's Chizuru. Not Mommy. It's Chizuru. You turn the page and you're like, "Wait, that's his girlfriend." And that person breaks up with him. See what happened? It's telling you Chizuru is the real girlfriend. It's telling you Chizuru's the real girlfriend. But they put girlfriend on top of it. So you're like, "Oh." And then you get introduced to, you're like, "Hey, look, his real girlfriend." Right? It's him finding real love through a fictional place. Anywho. I hope I highlighted my point that, like, Kazuya is essentially being placed in Chizuru's shoes to understand what the fuck she's been going through. It's the same with Chainsaw Man. People had issues with part 1 reading it weekly. Now they see it as a near masterpiece. Same problem. It's happening with part 2. In a few years, people will glaze it. Yeah, absolutely. I got to read Chainsaw Man after it was done. I got to read Chainsaw Man part 1 after it was done. I thought it was peak as fuck. I'm like, dude, this shit's a fucking roller coaster. And Rent-A-Girlfriend, initially, when you start, it absolutely feels like a roller coaster. When you first read Rent-A-Girlfriend, it absolutely feels like a roller coaster. And I'm just like, I felt how Chainsaw Man was written, at least its structure, had a similarity to early parts of Rent-A-Girlfriend. Absolutely. The structure felt very similar. It's like the pacing and the structure of how those two were written, very, very similar. And then the things change with Rent-A-Girlfriend when essentially every time Rent-A-Girlfriend enters a new saga, the structure and the way the story moves changes. So like Hawaiians as an arc fundamentally challenges your conceptions of the story because Reiji is okay. So let me talk about Hawaiians briefly. Reiji has openly said Hawaiians is a microcosm of all of the problems the characters were going through. It was supposed to essentially like pack everything into one big arc. And that's why it can feel so slow because there is so much going on. Like it feels like it's like something that's about to like fucking explode, but it's going really slow intentionally. And it's using that slowness to challenge your comfortability and understanding of the story. Basically, if Hawaiians works effectively if you actually understood the story. If you don't, that is actually leveraged by the writing, intentionally so. Reiji writes Mommy in a very particular way where you can start believing the shit Mommy is saying because it sounds somewhat reasonable on surface level. In fact, a lot of people side with Mommy in Hawaiians, even though Mommy's intentionally being framed as someone who is purely looking at this from surface level, despite appearing like she isn't. That's the thing. If you side with Mommy in Hawaiians, you're literally siding with someone who's using their trauma as an excuse. She is literally the definition of a hater. That is what Mommy is. She is the definition of a hater. And then Reiji proceeds to show different forms of hatred through the family, through Kazuya's family, where it depicts, for example, Nagomi reacting with depression and disillusionment. It has Kibe react in anger, immediately lashing out. It has Kazuya's family trying to bargain and reason with it. You're like, no, that didn't actually just happen. And then it has Kazuya acting with acceptance, whereas it has Chizuru acting with guilt, as if she feels like a horrible person for betraying the audience. Do you see what I mean? Reiji knows exactly what he's doing. He's leveraging how people interpret and understand the story to depict these things to you as readers. And if you don't realize what he's putting down, you can't fully recognize that. I wouldn't say Rent a Girlfriend as I wouldn't say Rent a Girlfriend as a romance is as good as Fruits Basket or Kimi no Todoka. So as someone who watched Fruits Basket, I disagree. I actually think Fruits Basket has shit that just did not age well, and in sometimes I might need to rewatch it, mind you. It's been a while since I've seen Fruits Basket, but there are times where I'm like, this shit's romanticizing some fucked up crap. Like, what the fuck? Like at times, I think her name was Toru, the main girl. She felt like a mom to everyone. It was just weird. It was just weird. Like the only one she didn't feel like a mom with was the guy she ultimately ends up with. I forgot his name. But and then a lot of the characters have like almost identical fucking stories. Oh look, terrible fucking parents. Oh look, terrible fucking parents. I think I think Fruits Basket is somewhat a product of its time, where it absolutely has good shit. Don't get me wrong, it absolutely has good shit. But it also has things I just did not click with. It just has things I did not click with. And I watched all of Fruits Basket. I even watched the movie with her mom. And even then, I'm just like, bro, I feel like I'm kind of low key reading the same thing. Where it's just like, oh, look, the mom experienced the same thing. But then what they do with the mom is interesting. She experienced the same thing as everyone else, and she didn't want that. She didn't want her own daughter to experience that. And I'm like, okay, cool. So what I'll say is that I think the character writing for Fruits Basket is really solid. I think the plot tends to kind of somewhat falter, where it goes from really interesting but kind of also faltering a lot of times. It absolutely has some good stuff. I like the conflict in the family a lot. I think the episode I still remember vividly is like the one where the one where the dude is like sitting with all of the animals. It's like literally one of the final episodes. And that episode genuinely made me cry. I related so much more to the connection of love between the family almost more than the love between like the actual romance. I related more so to that stuff than the actual romantic elements. Fruits Basket almost feels like a story about found family more than it does about romance. It feels more about like family love kind of more than just straight up romance. Despite having some romantic elements in it, but I unfortunately do not rank Fruits Basket very high on my list. Like it's just not even in my top 3. It's I wouldn't even like put it like just understand my top 3 are like pretty much like up here and then everything else is like way down here. My top 3 being Rent a Girlfriend number 1, Maison Koku, or sorry, How to Be Relationship number 2, Maison Koku number 3. That's pretty much my current list. Where those 3 are like way up top, and then everything is like way below. Everything else is like much lower. Those stories are like my favorites. But Fruits Basket unfortunately does not feel very high. Which one is Kima no Todoko? I don't know that one. Which one's Kima no Todoko? I've never. I know this one, but I've yet to read it. I know this one, but I've yet to read it. Uh, I can't comment. The fact that it takes place in high school is already a low key red flag for me. That's already low key a red flag for me. Sorry to say, I'm not a big fan of high school shit. Uh, a lot of them just do not land. I think one of the only ones that like really landed for me was almost satire of it, and it was Losing Heroines. Losing Heroines was genuinely really interesting. I was like, oh yeah, this shit fucking lands. Kaguya-sama initially landed for me. As the story continued, I kind of wasn't really vibing with it. Yeah, initially Kaguya-sama was interesting. I think like season 1 and then maybe parts of season 2. I liked parts of season 3 and I liked the ending of the movie. But a lot of the other stuff was just not clicking for me. And that's pretty much how I feel about Akasaka's writing in a nutshell. Like Aka's writing is like really interesting on certain parts, and then in others I kind of don't give a shit. I'm just like, oh, okay, whatever. And it's not just because I don't relate to it. I just find what he has to say not that fascinating at times. And I think it's because like Aka tends to somewhat exaggerate things, and I just don't click with that. Rent a Girlfriend transcends the romance gap. It's just so fucking real and explores all these tropes about people in society. It's on a level of its own. Well, that's the thing. Rent a Girlfriend is absolutely about like real I would say the real theme of Rent-A-Girlfriend is essentially about forming real bonds, not fictional ones. Learning how to form real bonds in a society diluted by social media and the internet. That is Rent-A-Girlfriend's theme. That is its motif. Um, and those real bonds are about love, and love isn't simply just romance. Love transcends romance. It's so much more than just romance. Um, and I think that's why Rent-A-Girlfriend is such a good love story. It is. It's a fantastic fucking love story. I thought Chizuru was one of the main girlfriends Kazuya would rent before getting back together with Mommy. Yeah, and nope, that's not what Mommy is. For me, the point of Kazuya taking back his confession was that it was a step forward that he can't take back. He said it out loud that he wants Chizuru. She heard him, and he can't take it back. Exactly. Literally right after Kazuya. So Kazuya taking back his confession in the end of season 1, he actually couldn't. He literally couldn't, because right afterwards everything starts changing. He literally goes into Shizuru's world right after that point. He can't resist. He took it back verbally. He couldn't actually take it back in reality. He starts getting more involved in her life. She starts bringing him into her life, right? Chizuru does something that is antithetical to what she'd done prior. Chizuru takes him to her grandmother, when prior she kept saying we need to break up and not introduce you, as if she's almost indicating to him, no, you're a part of my family now. Like you're actually my boyfriend, right? She even says that to Grandma Sayuri when she takes him. She's like, why are you acting like that with my boyfriend? She literally starts seemingly acting like they're actually dating, and their relationship really starts progressing. It's just the way Kazuya is talking is like really confusing at certain times, because Kazuya is absolutely confusing. And after that point, Kazuya seemingly starts confessing more and more and more, to the point where you're like, holy shit, like, oh my god, he's absolutely like confessed to her over and over. He literally couldn't take it back. It's just they were both in a place where they were essentially starting to form their relationship at that point. That's essentially where they were. They were both forming their relationship without straight up communicating to each other, but they are communicating, right? So Chizuru starts opening up to him. That's a big thing people tend to kind of ignore. Chizuru, right after Kazuya confesses, starts telling him shit. She starts opening up about like deep insecurities. Like she tells him, she tells him like how she thinks she's a failure and she's not a good actress. He's like, no, you're a fucking great actress. Fuck you, you're stupid as shit. And then he proceeds to support her and do all this stuff for her. She holds him back. She's like, too much. I need you to dial it back a little bit. Then when they're on the date, he's like, hey, I know the real you. You don't need to pretend with me. And she's like, that's not happening. I need to be your ideal. And this is where Kazuya says some like raw shit. He's just like, oh, what a coincidence. The real you is my ideal girlfriend. And she's like, how can you say that with a straight face? Like, damn. And she's just like, okay, let's do it. And then after that, she takes him to meet Grandma Sayuri. And then she opens up to him about her dream. She shares with him her dream. She shares with him how she doesn't have a family. She only has Grandma Sayuri. She opens up about this deep personal thing that she seemingly doesn't really tell so many other people. She really lets him in, and he understands and supports her, and he tells her like, I want to stay by you always. And she's like, always? And he stutters and stuff, and she's like, it's okay. I get it, right? And literally like that, essentially that arc before the movie arc is when they really start like forming a bond. The arc right after, literally season 2 should have been the best season prior to the movie arc. It should have been the best season because that's when their relationship was forming. That's when they were really starting to get close to each other. It's like, that's when they broke past the facade and like the floodgates opened and they started really getting close. So that description of like, yeah, he confessed, he took back his confession, but he didn't actually. He can't literally take it back. She heard it. She knows how he feels. He can't really take it back. He can pretend, but she knows how he feels. And it naturally leads to them all just getting closer. Even if they're having a hard time communicating, they are getting closer. It's the reason the movie arc even happens. The reason the movie arc even happens, a huge part of it, is because he said what he said. He can't act like he wants her as a rental, but but he can act like he wants her as a rental, but it's bullcrap. Because at this point forward, he's going to pursue his feelings for her, no going back no matter what. And yeah, exactly. He proceeds to do exactly that, literally as I described. It's okay, Bulver. Don't worry about anything. I'm a hater. I try and get into Fruits Basket because of my ex. Shit was boring to me. I liked Fruits Basket again for what it had to show. I think the music is great, the presentation is great, the execution is great, which is really funny. When you buy the English volumes of Rent a Girlfriend, they literally read on the back. It's like from the same studio that made Fruits Basket. Like here, let me pull it up. Let me go grab it. Let me zoom in. Oh god, too close. Too close. Oh god. Whoop. Okay. So when you buy Rent a Girlfriend, look at what it says right here. An anime from the makers of Real Life and Fruits Basket. This is not true. This is not true. It's I believe it's the same studio, but it's not the same people. They just casually fucking ignore that. It's the same studio, it's not the same fucking people. And they just casually fucking ignore that. But yeah, I just wanted to share that. Like, it's funny you bring up Fruits Basket. It's funny you bring up Fruits Basket. Okay. So let's continue where we were. We were reading what Varicus had to say. Okay. Kazuya's workout session at the gym reminds me a lot of Chizuru's session. Okay, we already read this. I think Minnie's accusations of Chizuru made her feel guilty about kissing Kazuya. Abso-fucking-lutely. In particular, she feels guilty for the desires that she feels because, as I explained to you prior, there is a parallel between Chizuru's desires that she feels and Kazuya's the assault he experienced by Iruka, right? Nothing. Chizuru put Kazuya in a position where his desires came out, and she felt bad for that, right? She put him in this place where he had to hold back. Whereas with Ruka assaults Kazuya, and he feels bad for having experienced something good, just as Chizuru feels bad for having experienced something good, because she felt something in that moment, and she feels bad for feeling good, because he got hurt, right? Literally, let me show you the scene again, right? Right, like when you look at her, her heart's beating like crazy. She's blushing, right? And then when she gets up, his nose is bleeding. She's blushing like crazy, and she feels bad, right? It's like his blood is on her hands, right? So here you're shown literal blood. With Kazuya, you're shown cum, right? And then Kazuya tries to wipe it like it's blood, right? Two instances that result in reverse things. Whereas Kazuya bleeds here, Chizuru is the one who felt like she made him bleed. So she feels horrible for this because she, right? She feels like it's her fault. She put him in this position. And you're seeing her in shadows because you don't realize she probably felt good in this scene, and she hates that she felt good. In contrast, you have Ruka, who was feeling good in that scene and she doesn't care. Or sorry, in contrast, you have Kazuya, who felt good with Ruka, and this time he's the one who knocks his pants. So this time, instead of blood, you get nothing. And that makes him feel bad that he did that at all, right? Whereas Ruka doesn't realize what she did to him, just as Kazuya doesn't realize what he did to Chizuru. Right? Neither character is fully aware. So literally, those scenes are meant to parallel. You're meant to find a parallel between these two scenes. let's see. Kazi is haunted by his guilt, and he's using the workout. Okay, so we already read this. Minnie is once again shown to be a very shallow person. She goes to the gym for appearances and for clicks, not to actually do something for her body. This is also reflected by the advice she gives Kazuya. What she tells him is all superficial. Get your body in shape and get your outside appearance cleaned up. It won't make him a better person. It will just make him look different. A big focus for this chapter is on Kazuya's feelings of guilt. He blames his sexual desires for everything. He probably thinks that things with Ruka wouldn't have gone too far if he hadn't been so horny. Because of what she did, he knows he feels even more attracted to her. He is also conscious of Minnie now, and Umi's words made him think of Chizuru naked and ready to take him in. It feels like his body doesn't even care who it is anymore. His love for Chizuru seems to get perverted by his lust. He doesn't know how to get rid of these sexual desires. Again, as a direct parallel to Chizuru. Everything keeps adding to her self-disgust, and that's why she's confused, because she feels a lot of lust for him. She feels a lot of lust for Kazuya, and she feels confused because this lust is seemingly perverting her love. Fun fact, a vasectomy wouldn't help with Kazuya's problem. It would only sterilize him, but it leaves the rest of this functionality and the hormone balance untouched. It wouldn't prevent him from being horny, and it doesn't prevent ejaculation. The ejaculation just doesn't contain sperm anymore. Damn. Even a vasectomy wouldn't solve his problem. Damn. Brutal. I think that Chizuru is struggling with a similar issue currently. As you might know, I'm a big supporter of the theory that Chizuru feels incredibly horny for Kazuya. When she kissed him, she had a feeling that it was okay to do that. Kazuya made her feel like she could show him everything and that he would accept her. She kissed him because she wanted to. The kiss made her desire take over. But Kazuya didn't react to the kiss, and Minnie made it look like she did something wrong. Together with her fear for being a woman like her mom, together with her fear of being a woman like her mom who gave in to desire, she probably thinks that the desire is a bad thing. So just like Kazuya, she tries to get rid of it or get it under control. Bro, didn't we have this theory literally when the rejection was happening? Did we not have this theory literally when the rejection was happening? Bro. Oh my God. We got to look this up. I had this theory literally when the rejection was happening. 382, I think. It's either 382 or 383 when I noticed this. Okay, it's either 382 or 383. No, this is too soon. This is too soon. No, bro, I remember we had this theory like way back when. Like literally 382 or like 380. Yeah, look at this. September 12th, 2025. This is exactly what Kazuya did during the day. In an attempt to not bother Chizuru by pushing for intimacy, he actually made her feel like she was asking too much. This intimacy bothers him, so she rejects herself because what she feels must be selfish desire, not true love. Bro, what the fuck? We had this theory all the way back then. No, so this, oh wow. Okay, we're going back even further, I think. I think I found this out even further. October 7th, maybe. No, October's after September, stupid. October's after September, stupid. Stupid. I'm not gonna let you get the chance. Okay. When is this one? June. Bro. June. I noticed this shit in fucking June. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, okay. Bear with me, fellas. Okay. Kazuya never touches Chizuru, doesn't seem to feel desire, that he seemingly had some answers to love that she doesn't, that his love transcends desire. If you think of it that way, Chizuru isn't in love yet, is she? Why do you think her questions all remove selfish desires? Having kids, presented as innocent but requires sex. Cheating, common association, sex. But she says it can't just be the act, it has to be the feeling. The desire for sex is not cheating. The feeling is, the feeling is. When asked about love, again, it removes materialistic elements. In contrast to Kazuya's answer, which he feels like he can't say based on the criteria given, it is very conditional on the fact that because she is who she is, he loves her, physically and emotionally. His love is not unconditional. He loves her specifically. He loves specifically her, not anyone else. That's why Chizuru believes she's not ready yet, that her love is impure. Why she specifically says what she says when turning him down. It's about her desire to be with him physically, that she's been conditioned that this is unacceptable, that she's bad for feeling the way that she does. Mirroring how Kazuya was conditioned that his actions cause Chizuru discomfort. So in turn, he struggles to physically initiate anything, only ever being extra considerate and giving her space, despite the fact that they've already kissed and are way past that point of intimacy. This is trauma, and it's present all over the date and the cohabitation, giving Chizuru the impression that he doesn't feel physical desire. And since Chizuru doesn't doubt his love, it means he is in love and she isn't. She's just horny, that's it. Huh, sounds familiar. Mami and Ruka lost it at Chizuru for this. Mami called her a whore, and Ruka said she cucked her. That clearly ate away at Chizuru, informing the end of the Hawaiians arc in the 3 months ghosting. She's not allowed to see him, she can't touch him, she's bad for feeling this. This tripled her guilt, her doubt, and even her self-loathing. This stigma that kept getting thrown at her, whether it be her job, her feelings, or her actions, made her just stop moving. She can't engage. Kazuya has to. It's the same trauma, all rooted back to that same stigma and shame. Yamori exasperated this without meaning to, pushing this stigma and subtly saying these exact words to Kazuya and Chizuru, enforcing roles and limiting actions, creating scenarios and doubts. Case in point, not saying cute unless prompted, or not holding her hand at all. Kazuya is very horny, but he hid this, conditioned that his lust, his desires, his wants are a bad thing that can only be a part of love after he is accepted, not before. So he can literally never show it. He has to constantly go vent out somewhere else, hidden like her. This relationship has already progressed to the point of physical intimacy a long time ago, but something they felt the need to suppress for opposite reasons. Kazuya, because he felt his actions pushed Chizuru away, that she might hate him for feeling this way. Chizuru, in contrast, because she's been conditioned that her actions are self-serving, that she's hurting his life, that Kazuya doesn't feel the same way. He doesn't want to hug or kiss her the same way she does, because he never does anything, no matter what scenario he is in. This in turn makes her doubt her own feelings, that she isn't in love but simply desires him. This is because of the comments from characters like Mami, the morally gray nature of the lies, and even her own guilt over her grandmother. You doubt your very self and who you are. The lack of acceptance is key. The acceptance phase of grief, the acceptance of our bad self, the acceptance of our feelings. This theme and conflict of accepting informs even the smallest chapters. You see it in all of the spreads. You see it in this spread, sorry. Vulnerability, overflowing feelings, and grief. Her umbrella is closed, therefore she's vulnerable. These are incense, so you put them on an altar where someone has died. And finally, her overflowing love, which is shown through the roses right next to her. One such chapter that informed this is chapter 318. a chapter where Kazuya looks for a mole in Chizuru's inner thigh. You heard that right. A stupid chapter like that is connected to this theme of acceptance. In this chapter, Kazuya searches for imperfections in what otherwise looks like perfect. He chases his desires, which is morally gray by nature, and the story rewards him not for doing something bad, but for finally being honest about what he wants again, for accepting himself no matter how small, stupid, or idiotic it may seem. And the chapter ends with that. Happy dumb idiots via Minnie and Kazuya just enjoying something that's seemingly not a big deal despite causing so much trouble. It's okay to be a little bit of a troublemaker. Anyways, what the fuck, dude? We called this all the way back then, and now Reiji is like very adamantly spelling it the fuck out for us. We called it all the way back then, and Reiji's now spelling it the fuck out for us. Like, goddamn. I think that Chizuru is okay. We already read this. They both don't feel ready to face each other yet, and they are both struggling with their desires. What next? The teaser for next time is coming clean. It uses the term that describes the admission of guilt often due to external pressure. It is different from the term confession, used for love confessions, where the person reveals a secret willingly. This suggests that Minnie will pry what happened with Ruka out of Kazuya, or try to at least. It would be interesting to see how Minnie reacts to what happened with Ruka. As I said in my analysis for chapter 406 already, I don't think that Minnie is able to give Kazuya good advice here. I would be surprised if she didn't think that Kazuya fucked up. Minnie certainly wouldn't hate him like he imagined, but she probably wouldn't make him feel like he was completely screwed if Chizuru found out about this, and there was nothing he could do about it. This would not only make Kazuya feel even more guilty, it would also increase his fear that Chizuru might find out. The best advice would be to trust that Chizuru won't blame him for what happened, but neither Kazuya nor Minnie trust Chizuru right now, so I just can't see that happening. I kind of really disagree that the focus of this chapter is purely Kazuya's guilt. The focus of this chapter is the mask of his guilt, not his actual guilt. I somewhat disagree that the theme of this chapter is guilt. I think the theme of this chapter is a mask. It is about a mask. So we're gonna read what I wrote now. So this thread was completely unintentional. Initially, when I was editing, I noticed something weird. I noticed something weird, and I just kind of wanted to share it. And then that just cascaded into this super long thread. So do bear with me, okay? This thread was not intentional, but I wrote a lot of shit, and I was like in the fucking zone. So bear with me. Just making sure you guys can see everything. Okay. I was editing my reaction to chapter 410, and I realized something I can't believe I didn't catch. Minnie regularly says that's funny, or this is fun. Kazuya doesn't usually say this, but after a month living together with Minnie, suddenly he starts saying these exact words a lot. It's like he's becoming a different person, like he's becoming someone else. That's funny. Minnie, ha ha ha, that's funny. And this is absolutely not by coincidence. Kazuya, all throughout the date, regularly says this. Every time there's an awkward moment, every single time there is some sort of awkward moment, Kazuya says this. Seriously, go back and reread the date very carefully. Every time there's some sort of awkward moment, he says this. And it doesn't do anything. But what's interesting is that Minnie is the same exact way. She always says it when there's some sort of awkward question being asked. More importantly, it's where and when these phrases are said that makes it interesting. It's usually during stuff that isn't actually funny or fun. Minnie is asked if she ever cheated by a machine, and she says, ha, that's funny. Kazuya sees couples kissing in literally in the goddamn they're literally in the bushes. These fuckers are literally in the bushes. And they're just down there kissing each other. Like they're literally making out in the goddamn bushes. And Kazuya's reaction is, ha ha ha, that's funny. And Chizuru's just like, yeah, funny. It's not funny. Why did you say it's funny? You just acknowledge that it's weird. It's awkward. Just acknowledge that it's awkward. That's fucking weird. right? Just he should just talk to her. Instead, he puts on a mask. He puts on a disguise. Minnie is the same exact way. It's all just a disguise. Kazuya is getting traits of Minnie. She's molding him into someone else. You can best see this in Joypolis. In contrast, Minnie is slowly emulating traits of Chizuru, aka the object of Kazuya's desire. Not because of Chizuru herself, but because she loves Kazuya's love for Chizuru. Right? These two scenes look a whole lot similar, right? Don't these two scenes look really fucking similar? Huh. That's interesting. Except it's used in completely the wrong time. It shows Minnie's fundamental misunderstanding of Chizuru. The dramatic irony arises when you see where Minnie stands. It's where Ruka once stood, lower than Kazuya in the stairs. Minnie is emulating Chizuru. Even how she speaks is changing in Japanese. So I was talking to Japanese fans the other day, and they were literally saying, so if you've watched the anime, Rent a Girlfriend, when you hear Minnie talk, she says isu a lot. When she's speaking, it's like Minnie desu or something like that, right? It's a goofy way of talking. It makes her sound more like an anime character. None of the other characters talk like this, right? All the female characters and all the other characters in the story talk like normal people. It's a little exaggerated, but they talk like normal people. Minnie is the only one who speaks like an anime character. Like she has isus in her words, right? Like I would need to pull up a clip to show you what I'm talking about. But the Japanese fans who were talking about this were literally saying she's actually doing that less, right? She's recently started doing that a lot less, and she's starting to literally sound different. She's not only acting different, she's starting to sound different. But much like Ruka, she is not Kazuya's friend or equal. They have a power dynamic. Minnie is below Kazuya, Chizuru is above him. This shit is 10 times more deep than I thought. Right? Every time, dude. Every fucking time, dude. Every fucking time. Right. So, where's Minnie stand? Minnie is below Kazuya in the stairs looking up at him, and she has more power than him in this situation. Where's Ruka? Huh. Right after Kazuya experienced what he experienced with Ruka, suddenly Minnie comes back. And all of a sudden, Minnie is seemingly in a slightly similar position as Ruka. Isn't that weird? Right? This alone should highlight the problem. Minnie always talks about how Kazuya's efforts need to be rewarded by Chizuru, while she does not see how the very endless support she provides Kazuya actually shackles him and makes him feel guilty, much like Chizuru felt guilty over Kazuya. Right? It all makes me feel so guilty. Here's Minnie screaming at Chizuru, "Do you really not care if someone snatches him away from you? He has faith that one day he'll be rewarded." Which makes Chizuru feel really fucking guilty. And she tells him as much when she calls him. She feels really fucking bad. She apologizes profusely when she calls him. Like, let me pull it up. Like, there's a reason Chizuru's apologizing so goddamn much when she calls him. Right? He asks her something, she just agrees without any questions. He asks her something, he's like, "Let's go out." She just agrees without any questions. And then she asks him about the play and proceeds to say, "Sorry, I don't really understand why. I confuse myself, but whenever it's about you, it's like I become a completely different person. I'm really sorry." Okay. She says this while the moon is under her. She's literally telling him, "I love you," and she doesn't realize it. You make me feel like this is a confession. This is a fucking confession. It's literally the shit Kazuya used to do at the start of the series. And he doesn't notice. She's literally confessing to him. But she doesn't know she's doing it. And again, she says, "I'm sorry. I'm really sorry." And he tells her it's fine. What Kazuya does here without realizing, is absolve her of guilt. He helps her feel like she's not at fault. In turn, he is rewarded for this, for her telling him, I'm looking forward to it. Due to Kazuya actually listening and understanding and actually talking to Chizuru, he is given the thing he wants. He is given the thing he wants, that Chizuru is looking forward to, that she actually is really happy and she's excited to meet him again. He doesn't realize what he did. Because what does Kazuya say here? Don't worry about me, just focus on doing your best. This is for you. You stupid idiot. She literally is like, what the fuck? No, this is all for you, stupid. So she doesn't like that he tries to remove himself from the equation. He tries to remove himself from the picture, so she brings him back into the picture. No, I'm looking forward to this. Don't remove yourself from the picture. And by the end, she walks more proudly. She lifts her head. In the start of the chapter, Chizuru is downcast, in shadows. In the end of the chapter, she lifts her head and walks proud. Because he helped her accept herself and not feel guilty for what she did. Okay? Minnie, in contrast, now you understand what was going on. Oh, Minnie put a lot of guilt on this girl. You just didn't realize it. And look at the parallel between Kazuya here and Chizuru here. Right? Do you see the similarities? Look at these panels. Look at these two. Do you see these similarities? Chizuru, when Kazuya asks her, why did you not tell me you were hurt? Why did you not tell me you were hurt? She says, because it's not right. You put so much work into everything, it wouldn't be fair to ruin it because of me. She values him so much that she thinks she's the bad person. She felt guilty when he helped her, and he told her just get on. When she hurt her leg and she couldn't walk, so he carried her. Minnie doesn't see how her very endless support that she provides Kazuya actually shackles him and makes him feel guilty, much like Chizuru felt guilt over Kazuya. Ruka is more of a physical shackle. Minnie is a shackle of emotions. In these shackles, these difficult circumstances, Kazuya must find himself, face the unsatisfying, life-altering consequences of these revelations, face the fate he can no longer run from and ignore himself. This chapter is all about lies and masks, the masks we present to the world versus our internal self. But there's one thing that does not lie in this chapter. The eyes. His eyes couldn't lie. Kazuya's eyes in the cover, eyes of those looking at Minnie, even Minnie's own eyes who observe and see Kazuya's mask. Even Ruka's eyes in the selfie she takes tells a story. Ruka's eyes are of desperation. She didn't just take that picture, she took it so Kazuya would look. A child desiring attention while framing herself like she is a mature adult. The eyes show a kid pretending to be an adult. That is this. She literally, what does Ruka do? How does Ruka frame herself? It's like she's putting on a mask. Hey, check out my mask. Isn't my mask pretty? Isn't my mask pretty? That's literally what she's doing. Isn't the mask I'm wearing pretty? Minnie's selfie, in contrast, is an adult pretending to be a kid. Ruka is a kid pretending to be an adult. Minnie is an adult pretending to be a kid. Her framing is perfect, and so is her pose. Yet it's presented as if it's something she did by happenstance, right? How does Minnie frame it? I'm at my gym, right? I'm at my gym. Look at me. I'm so innocent. I'm so innocent. While she admits that it's totally planned. It's not by happenstance. Ruka, she is Ruka's inverse. Her mere presence draws eyes effortlessly. Minnie does not have to try. Just being present in the outfit she wears brings eyes to her. Just putting in a small effort to do one rep on a weight machine makes all the guys look. In her lack of care, it draws attention to her. Just showing her assets puts more work than she ever did. Minnie knows exactly how to grab eyes. This is what this chapter shows. She knows what to do, how to look, and even how to talk to someone, and even how to talk to make someone see her, and even how to talk to make someone see her. She doesn't need to pretend like Ruka. The mask is a weapon, not a desperate bid, even when she is not aware. It's almost scary. In contrast to this ability, Minnie looks at Kazuya and can sense something is wrong. So, in particular, I wanted to add here: the mask is a weapon, not a desperate bid. Even when she is not aware, she's using it, and in that sense, the mask is both literally a wall and a window, or sorry, a mirror and a window. It's a mirror back at you that she's utilizing, while at the same time, through this mask, you can deconstruct and recognize who she is underneath it. In contrast to this ability, Minnie looks at Kazuya and can sense something is wrong, but she ironically cannot see him clearly. Despite knowing something is wrong, despite being so good at attracting eyes, she cannot see how she is changing who he is, but she can see he isn't normal. But that's because Kazuya is always easy to read. This is where Minnie goes to work out, and it feels as though it's only happening in response to Kazuya himself, that he isn't looking and talking to her. Almost like Ruka. Here, Minnie mentions the Kardashians, which feels intentional. Minnie judges the value of the workout machine purely by who was using it. Celebrities that are naturally good on camera and yet again know how to grab eyes. She even starts advertising the gym to us as if she is on a TV show and has something to sell us, like a YouTuber. Right? Even Kazuya says, "Are you running a commercial? Are they paying you for this?" It's almost like she knew Kazuya refused to look at her and be honest with her. So she gets on this machine, which she knew for a fact would grab his eyes. Told him to his face that this is what she is doing by mentioning the Kardashians. Did it, and it still worked. She made him look. And then Kazuya hated himself for looking. Minnie, without realizing, is weaponizing the one thing Kazuya hates about himself, the one truth of who he is: his eyes, for they cannot lie. It's honestly a brilliant depiction of how we can hurt those we love in our easygoing ignorance. Minnie is not trying to hurt Kazuya, she just supports him endlessly. As an exact mirror of how Kazuya supports Chizuru endlessly and isn't trying to hurt her, but he fucking is in his easygoing ignorance. She is the closest thing he has to a best friend right now, maybe more than Kibe. But that's, ironically, exactly the problem. She's doing similar things as Kibe in her lack of awareness in her friend. This is the paradox of Minnie. She is both aware when Kazuya is not himself, but not aware of her own influence on that. How she adds to that guilt. How she doesn't make him feel comfortable to talk, but ironically pressures him to do so. She could have just checked if he was okay. But what did Minnie do when she first asked? She didn't honestly say what she was feeling, right? What did Minnie do? She's like, is something wrong with you? He's like, what are you talking about? She's just like, oh, you're acting gloomy, you're blah, blah, blah. She's like, well, you don't see, she could have just said something like, hey, you don't seem yourself. You're acting a little different. Are you okay? Like, you can talk to me. You don't have to feel like you're pressured or anything. Instead, she's like, oh, why aren't you acting like you should be? Seriously, what does Minnie say? It's just strange. Everything is going pretty well, and yet you seem kind of gloomy. You're not acting as you should be, instead of, you can tell me if something is wrong. I'm here for you. She doesn't comfort him, she pressures him because he's not conforming. And she doesn't realize she's doing this. Right? Heck, you don't realize she's doing this. How you frame and communicate someone, especially if you want them to open up to you, is fundamental. She pressures him to open up. That's what Minnie does. She pressures him into it. See, she didn't honestly say what she was feeling. She closed her eyes and callously made an observation that he isn't happy. That this is how she perceives Chizuru, which is not Chizuru when it comes to sensitive topics, as we have seen many times in the past. Chizuru has shown many instances where she read Kazuya and knew he was not okay, and instead of belittling his feelings, she acknowledges them depending on the situation. Acceptance, forgiveness, understanding, even playful challenge. Minnie merely emulates Iron Lady Chizuru, right? So Chizuru notices here in chapter 299 that Kazuya lied about using the like, what is it? He was using the shampoo for his skin instead of getting actual body wash. And she comes up, she puts her finger on him, and she's like, "Are you lying to me? I'm sorry if I think you're lying," but she confronts him straight up. He tells her the truth, and she's like, "Okay, I forgive you. It doesn't bother me, you know. Grandpa did the same thing. It's okay. You didn't fuck up. You're not a bad person. At any rate, I'll just buy refill packs for the shampoo. But there are a ton of shower gels that are good for your skin, so I highly recommend switching to that. My investigation's still going, so just try to avoid lying to me, okay?" It's not confrontational. She makes him feel comfortable. She tells him it's okay. I forgive you. Thank you for telling me the truth. Right? She makes him feel safe. Here, Chizuru notices Kazuya is off. He's sad. He's not in his normal self. So what does she do? She brings him back. "Hey, what are you doing over there? Huh? Come on, let's go." He felt like he didn't belong in this scene. She told him the reason he was here is because he was going to help them carry the TV home. And then they have the TV get delivered. So he's like, "I must not have a role here. I'm not necessary. I'm just tagging along. I shouldn't be here." She immediately notices he's not okay and then brings him back. And Kazuya feels better. Here, in the date, she notices Kazuya is sad. She's like, "Are you upset?" "Huh? What? Oh, no, not at all." And he pretends he's fine. He's like, smiles and he looks away. So what does Chizuru do? She challenges him. She's like, "I win." He's like, "Oh, fuck, God damn it." And he's like, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." She knew, she understood. And she gives him, do you look at the visual here. She's literally pulling him along. Come on, come on, you got this, you can do this. She's literally cheering him on. She's helping him through his insecurities and his fears. Right? She reassures him. Read through the date very carefully. Kazuya regularly gets a lot of fears and insecurities and worries, and she pulls him out of it. She reassures him immediately, no matter how small. And she doesn't belittle anything. Chizuru does not belittle a single thing. Dude, he felt insecure about drinking her fucking water, which is nothing, right? It's nothing. Other people would be like, "Dude, you're stupid. Why the fuck are you reacting to that? That's so dumb. What the fuck, man?" Blah, blah, blah. They would give him so much shit for it. Chizuru doesn't belittle him. She just laughs. It's funny. And it makes him feel comfortable. She just laughs through it. She's just like, it's okay, man. It's not a big deal. I'm having fun. Right? Constant reassurance does not make him feel bad for what he's feeling. Minnie does. Minnie regularly makes him feel bad for what he's feeling and then pretends like it's not a big deal right after. That's a common mistake a lot of younger people do, including myself, where when someone feels worried about something, like, it's much easier to just reassure them than to try to make a joke about it or threaten them with that, unless you know they're comfortable with that joke. Don't just say the joke and hope to God it goes okay. Instead, just reassure them. "Hey, it's not a big deal, man. It's cool. I don't care. It's chill." Right? Like I have this experience a lot with like coworkers and people I work with, where they get really worried about the tiniest thing, and I just reassure them, like, "Hey, it's fine. It's chill. Just don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm doing okay. You're fine. You didn't fuck up." When they feel like they fucked up with other people, you didn't fuck up. You're good. And the reason this happens is because a lot of people are overthinkers, especially in our modern day. In our modern day, where let's see, why is Kazuya's mindset always so pessimistic? Maybe it's the shit ass grandma. No, no, no. Stop that. Stop that. Yamero. Yamero. No, we're not blaming people. We're not blaming external factors for our internal conflicts. No, Kazuya's grandma's barely been around. In fact, Kazuya's grandma right now in the story is mostly doing the right stuff. So no. No, 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 no. Stop. Do not blame Nagomi. Do not blame Kibe. No. What this is about is confronting yourself, not any external factors. Those are irrelevant. It is about confronting and accepting yourself and who you are. Do not blame other people for your problems. There comes a point in life where you cannot keep blaming other people for your problems, and you must face yourself. Your environment shapes you, absolutely, but you can't always keep blaming your environment for what's going on in your life. There comes a point where you must take charge. That is exactly what Reiji's depicting with Mami. It is this exact thing Reiji's depicting with Mami and with Kazuya. The reason I mention Mami is because Mami's easier to understand. Mami is stuck in her terrible family circumstances. She cannot keep using them as an excuse to not do anything with her life. Because she knows she's not fucking stupid. She knows she doesn't like it. She does not like being with this family. She doesn't like doing any of this stuff. She has to make an active choice. She cannot just keep sitting around and keep letting her family do this because she knows better. She's not stupid. Kazuya is the same way. You cannot keep blaming his family for this. You could blame them in Hawaiians. In Hawaiians, his family and his friends absolutely fucked up. But you cannot keep blaming them. Just as you can't keep blaming Chizuru. There comes a point where you cannot keep blaming other people for your problems. And you have to recognize it is you. You are actively choosing this. Okay? However, at the same time, it is important to recognize how sometimes people who overthink need reassurance, right? Just because you can't keep blaming other people for your problems, it doesn't mean you don't need reassurance, okay? So while people are very dismissive of Kazuya in this scene, it both shows a problem and a solution. Kazuya is actively being presented the solution in the date. In the date, he's constantly trapped in his own head, overthinking, overworrying, lost in these thoughts. Ironically, if you're wondering why Kazuya is so pessimistic, it's Minnie. Just saying, it's the character you're rooting for. Just saying, it's literally her, because she gets that shit in his head. Just read Joy Polis. Just read the scouting for Joy Polis. She literally gets all this shit in his head. Just straight up, she gets that. She gets all that shit in his head. That's the reason. But at the same time, you can't keep blaming Minnie because you're choosing to be around her. So there comes a point where it's like, it's not fully Minnie's fault. It is an active choice you're making. You know better. What's happening in the date is Kazuya is actively being presented the truth of his solution to how to help Chizuru. Make her feel comfortable, as she is making you feel comfortable. No problem is too small. No problem is not as important. Every problem should be treated equally, and you make your partner feel comfortable regardless. As I was describing earlier, I do this for my coworkers. I do this for my friends. No matter what they're worried about, I don't belittle it ever. I do not belittle their problems, right? I will call them out when I think they're doing stupid shit. Like when someone is like saying, "Oh, I don't like this, and this is like blah 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 blah," but it's like you can tell it's coming from privilege. I'll just be like, "Bro, you're kind of privileged as fuck." I'll literally just say that to them. While at the same time, if they're worried about something, or if they're concerned, like, how do I talk to this person, or what do I say this, what do I say that, I don't tell them you should do this or you should do that. I'm saying you can. You can do it this way, you can do it this way, but honestly, I think the easiest thing to do is just communicate to them how you feel. Do not feel bad for what you feel. Do not let other people make you feel bad for what you feel. And I've done this for a lot of my coworkers. People just need reinforcement. Sometimes people just need someone to believe in them, and they can do amazing things. And when you're talking to someone, just advice in general, you'd make a great therapist, dude. Oh, it's because when I took therapy, the way I learned is that I can't understand. So just to explain to you guys how I learn things, I need to fundamentally understand something before I can conceptualize it and incorporate it into myself. So when I took therapy, I literally needed to fundamentally understand what my fucking therapist was saying on like a fundamental level in order to incorporate it. And my therapist recognized that, and he told me that. And I'm like, oh, okay, that suddenly makes a lot of sense. I've been told before I'd make a good therapist. I don't know if I'd want to be. I don't know if I'd want to be, especially considering therapy would take a while to get my license and all that stuff. So I just try to help people like this. I don't really want to be a therapist, but I'm willing to communicate and give people advice like this. I prefer this. I don't think I want to be a therapist, to be honest. I've considered it before. I've definitely considered the career before, and I didn't want it. I know for a fact I don't want to be a therapist. I'm just here to communicate and give people some advice. Nor do I tout myself as a therapist. Please understand. I'm not licensed. I'm not a therapist. I just listen to my therapist very carefully and paid attention in how I want to incorporate communication with people. All I'm trying to do is give you guys some tools to communicate better with other people and to show you how this manga is depicting that too. how this manga is depicting, hey, this is how you communicate and talk to people. This is how you can connect and work with each other, while at the same time, it's showing its contrast. How if you communicate a certain way, you can absolutely cause fucking problems. That is Minnie in a nutshell. That is Minnie's character in a fucking nutshell. How she communicates and how she goes about approaching things and her lies and her masks and all that shit. Oh man, she just makes everything fucking worse. Without meaning to. That's not her intention, but she absolutely is fucking doing it. And Kazuya does similar things, where because Kazuya is not honest to who he is, he makes things worse. For instance, when he's talking to Ruka and trying to confront her about like what she just did, because he's not honest about what she just did to him and his own feelings, he tries to frame it like it's an accident. That shit was not a fucking accident. Okay? In framing it like an accident, he unintentionally absolves Ruka of guilt, and in turn, Ruka doesn't feel like she did anything wrong. Do you see the problem? Ruka felt like she might have done something wrong. I think she fucking knew she might have done something wrong. But Kazuya absolved her of guilt in not addressing himself and his issues, and in turn, he made it fucking worse. And it's stuff you can't recognize initially, and it's basically Reiji talking about how communication can cause these issues, while at the same time, like how in just talking to someone, you can create misunderstandings, right? And just communicating to someone, you can create a misunderstanding. You don't even realize it. That's why when you learn the right tools, you learn how to not confuse people. Anyways, Minnie does not understand Chizuru. Just a facade of Chizuru, a mask of her. That is Minnie's core flaw. For how great she is at grabbing other people's eyes, she cannot see others clearly, merely their reflections. Parts only shown when Chizuru is guarded or blatantly confused, not when Chizuru is herself, right? So Chizuru here, this looks kind of like Minnie. Like look at how Chizuru looks here, and look at how Minnie looks here. There's a clear similarity. Chizuru is confused in a similar way that Minnie is confused. So Minnie incorporates these elements of Chizuru without realizing it. In contrast, look at how guarded Chizuru is with Minnie here. Where Minnie shows up and it literally says prying eyes. Look at Minnie. Like, she's being incredibly invasive with Chizuru, so what does Chizuru do? She puts up a wall. Right? She's like, I'm not letting you just like get all up in my fucking business. And Chizuru does that again here, where she blatantly lies to Minnie's face, right? And Minnie incorporates that. She takes this thing that Chizuru did. It's almost like Minnie is emulating her mom. And which is really interesting because Kazuya, Chizuru, and Minnie essentially have the family dynamic, where Minnie is their kid, Chizuru is the mom, and Kazuya is the dad. And then you rotate the family, essentially, where Chizuru becomes the kid, and Kazuya and Minnie become her parents, and then you rotate it again, and suddenly Kazuya is the kid and Chizuru and Minnie are his parents, right? And it moves around like that. Minnie essentially forces Chizuru into the parental position, not realizing how she's not being her friend in that instance. Minnie actively forces Chizuru to be an adult when Chizuru wants to be a kid. That's literally what Minnie does. She actively makes Chizuru feel the need to be an adult when she just wants to be able to relax and be a kid. Do you think Minnie could be attracted to Kazuya? Oh, Minnie definitely has feelings for Kazuya. But as I described earlier, let me read this for you. It's like one of the first things I wrote. Okay. Minnie is emulating Chizuru, aka the object of Kazuya's desire. Not because of Chizuru herself, but because Minnie loves Kazuya's love for Chizuru. Minnie loves Kazuya's love for Chizuru, less so his love for her or anything like that. In simple terms, Minnie is idolizing Kazuya. She admires him. And she is lost in that fantasy of love. So I would argue it's almost like Minnie is like trapped in the illusion of love rather than is actually in love with him. She is attracted to him because she thinks Kazuya represents an ideal to her. Kazuya to Minnie represents an ideal. She's pretty much said this in chapter 273. She straight up says, like, to me, Kazuya is real. He's like a dream. which seems like a good thing on surface level, but it actually disguises the issue. So she wants that for herself. Exactly. Minnie is not being honest to herself about what she wants, and in turn, she's taking it from someone else. That is Minnie's problem. She is literally not honest to herself about what she actually wants, that she actually wants love, and in turn, she takes it from someone else while pretending to support them. In a sense, she's being a terrible friend. Because she's supposedly presenting herself as Kazuya's support, while unintentionally, because she's not being honest to herself, sabotaging his relationship with Chizuru. She's been doing that the whole fucking time. She doesn't realize she's doing this. Because she's so busy trying to get this to work in her fake understanding of love. It's almost like a mirror to mommy, like a reflection of mommy in a sense, where mommy is not honest to herself about what she wants, and because of that, she doesn't get what she like literally she causes all these problems. Minnie is presented like a positive mommy. It's kind of what she is. She's presented like a positive mommy, and Minnie is kind of like a mixture of Umi and Ruka, where she is the flip of Ruka, but she is kind of like an emotional shackle. Because she's in an industry where she's a YouTuber and a cosplayer, she's surrounded by a lot of fake people. Like literally, her job is to sell you a persona. Minnie is trapped in that persona. I really hope Minnie doesn't like Kazuya. I think she kind of does. It's literally supposed to be a platonic relationship getting destroyed because someone is not being honest with themselves about what they want. Kazuya and Minnie are purely just friends. It takes the nuance out of their relationship. I think it adds nuance. I think it absolutely adds nuance. It is literally they are just friends. Minnie and Kazuya are just friends. Minnie doesn't actually love him. What Reishi is introducing here is that because Minnie is not addressing herself, she's destroying her friendship with Kazuya. And she doesn't realize it. Minnie doesn't actually love Kazuya. She admires his love for someone else. And she wants that for herself because she won't honestly admit she wants love. And because she doesn't honestly admit she wants love, suddenly she starts taking it from her friend, whom she's claiming to support. It is good. It is brilliant. It is literally you hurting your friend in your willful ignorance of yourself. In not being honest about yourself. You're making it worse. This was stated in the predate saga. Do you mean the Joypolis scouting? Do you mean in the Joypolis scouting? It wasn't really straight up stated. This is more so something you can like recognize when you dig a little deeper into it. But they are just friends. No. The whole point of Kazuya and Minnie is they are purely platonic. I apologize, Fate. I wasn't familiar with your game, and yes. Yeah, no, I know. That's pretty much everything with this story. It's like you got to kind of explain it. Even Ruka. I have not denied what Ruka has done as sexual assault, but there is absolutely more nuance to this picture than that. And Ruka absolutely does not realize what she's done, and Kazuya actively absolves her of guilt, and he doesn't realize he's doing this, and in turn, Ruka does not see what she has done wrong. And essentially it's a toxic relationship for both of them. They're both hurting each other. It's not just Ruka. At first, I thought that the trial date with Minnie was kind of unimportant and long, but everything you've explained, it seems very important. Oh, straight up, pay attention to the little things Kazuya imagines with Minnie. And then go to the date. So like, you know how Kazuya kept seeing Chizuru when he was with Minnie? Go to the date, and you're gonna see how those exact moments he imagined with Minnie literally happen, and he doesn't notice them. The things he was literally trying to look for and imagine, they straight up happen in front of him, and he doesn't notice them because he's so busy in his head. He's so busy overthinking, he doesn't notice it. So, for instance, when they go on the Wonder Wing ride, when Kazuya and Minnie go on Wonder Wings, or Wild Wings, that's what they're called. It's like Wild Wings. The announcer lady is like, pump your fists up and let's go wild, like that. And Minnie shoots her fist up and she's like, fuck yeah, let's get wild. Kazuya wonders, oh, I wonder how Chizuru would react. He imagines two scenarios. I wonder if Chizuru would meekly do it. She's like, oh, let's get wild like that. Or if she would pump her fists up like Minnie and she'd get excited. They get on the Wild River, which is the same ride. A similar ride. And what happens? Chizuru does it. She's like, let's get wild. She does it exactly like he imagined. Straight up. Exactly as he imagined it. But he doesn't notice. Because he's thinking, oh, how do I answer Chizuru's question about love? And the panel's literally drawn for you verbatim. But he doesn't notice it. It just goes by his head. I'm like, oh my God. So the more you reread the Joy Polis arc and you pair it with that arc, that arc essentially like deconstructs the other. They are absolutely fundamental to each other. You need both. You literally need both. You cannot understand the date without understanding the scouting. They are fundamental to each other. Every single facet, every little thing you're shown, they are fundamental to each other. Kazuya's going to get buff. No, he's not. No, he's not. No, he's not going to get... It's not going to happen in a month, dude. You're not going to get buff in a month. That's not how it fucking works. You might gain some muscle, but you're not going to just magically get fucking buff. Like, even if you worked out every day, you wouldn't. Kazuya's not getting buff. It's the illusion that he's getting buff. He's not actually getting buff. It's just a mask. To be honest, the same thing with the Kazuya arc is so complicated and complex that it's hard to explain. Well, that's the thing, though. Reiji is slowly but surely explaining it to you. When I talked to him on his streams, he blatantly said, this is a mystery. He blatantly said, no, this is a mystery. And when people ask him, like, what was the point of this? What was the point of that? He's essentially slowly, like, he was telling them, I'm going to explain it soon. Like, it'll all come together soon. Just take your time and slowly pay attention. And he's slowly but surely, like, unraveling each of the pieces, right? He's slowly unraveling each of the pieces and slowly revealing the mystery to you. That's why I think, like, they're going to meet up soon. Like, maybe in the next 10 chapters, Kazuya and Chizuru might meet up. Because he's essentially unraveled a huge part of the mystery. A massive part of the mystery has been essentially unraveled for you. You just haven't pieced it together. You literally just have not pieced it together. You just don't realize all the pieces are in front of you. It's all there. It's literally the predictions I made when we first read chapter 380. It's literally about desire and guilt. It's desire, shame, and guilt. It's all these things. It's literally been there from the start. It was my initial reading, my initial analysis when we first read the rejection was spot on. And now there's just proof. There's just clear proof in plain view that Minnie is sabotaging all this, that this is all about desire, sex, guilt, shame, all of these things. It's just now Reiji is slowly but surely removing the masks and in turn showing you the reality. And eventually, Reiji will spell it out for you. I'm sure about this. I am sure about this. Reiji is going to spell it the fuck out for you. And when he does, I want you to reread. Because suddenly, every little thing will click together. When Reiji finally gives you answers, every single thing he has shown you will click together. I feel it in my fucking bones. And the reason I can say this confidently, I've told you before, he is inspired by the writers of Breaking Bad. And they also did a show called Better Call Saul, which literally did this. It literally fucking did this. The early seasons of Better Call Saul don't feel very interesting. The moment you watch the later seasons of Better Call Saul and you come back, suddenly the early seasons feel like a fucking masterpiece. Because everything comes together. Every little fucking piece you were given clicks together into a greater whole. And you're like, holy shit, how did I not see any of this? What the actual fuck? That I'm 100% sure that's what Reiji's doing. Especially because Shiunji family's doing this too. Shiunji family is doing something really similar where it's slowly unraveling what you believe you understand and deconstructing it and changing it into a whole different perspective. And Shiunji family is the same exact way. All the pieces were there for you from the start. You just needed to be willing to pay attention and recognize, hey, Shiunji family's literally feeding you the tropes you're familiar with, and it's playing them straight on purpose. because it's not what you think. These characters have literally been conditioned to be tropes. Their dad literally fucking groomed them from childhood to be these tropes. You just don't realize. Anyways, so when haters say Kazuya doesn't develop, it's obviously false, but hard to explain. No, it's not that hard to explain, really. He does absolutely develop. It's just the way Kazuya develops isn't the way you imagine him to develop. And it's very easy to prove he actually has. It's just where it gets a little difficult is after Hawaiians, where Kazuya's character seemingly regresses, but they're missing the point of why he's regressing. He absolutely is regressing as a character, but not in the way that you're imagining, nor do you understand what's actually happening to him. Like, they think, oh, he's suddenly a terrible fucking person. No. He's not a terrible person. He's perceiving himself as a terrible person. So when you hate him, you're fundamentally missing the point. Because that hatred you feel is the very hatred he feels for himself. That is the point of chapter 218. Chapter 218 is the chapter everybody loves to use as, oh, look, Kazuya regressed as a character. He's so fucking terrible. The whole point of that chapter is to reflect Kazuya's own self-hatred. How that is the point of that chapter. It is self-hatred. He hates himself. And his body, his heart, and his mind turn against him. And he essentially begins to lose who he is. And even despite losing all of who he is, he still chooses to protect the person that he loves. Even though he's getting nothing. I think it's baffling that people love to use chapter 218 as this magical Chekhov's gun of, hey, look at how terrible this series is, but then casually ignore how right after this, Kazuya proceeds to direct all of his family's hatred towards him and take all of that pain just so Chizuru wouldn't get hurt. And then she in turn does the same for him, where she chooses to kiss him and save him and protect him despite the fact that everyone's turning on him. And she says, I would make that choice every single fucking time without question, because that's how much she fucking cares about him. Like, these two are fucking meant for each other, dude. It fucking baffles me that people think this shit's a fucking harem. Anyway, so when 218 gets animated, should we do a swimsuit stream? What? I ain't getting on stream butt ass naked, bro. Or not butt ass, like with like my, you guys can just see my fucking thing. I don't need that. Thanks. I'll pass. I'll pass. You guys do not need to see my hairy ass chest. Look at my hairy chest. I'm a hairy man. You do not need to see that. Okay? I ain't gonna bother with that. Thank you. How are you even gonna see my swimsuits? It's just gonna be down there. Dudes don't wear fucking anything up here. Anyhow. I hopefully think, I think 218 will be like a big deal, like when it gets animated initially, and then they'll get over it like just as quick because they're gonna want to get to the kiss as quick as possible, and then they're probably gonna animate the ever-living shit out of the kiss. I believe it. I think they're gonna animate the ever-living shit out of the kiss, and it's gonna be like super fucking romantic. And I think once that happens, people will shut the fuck up. You know, be like, oh my god, well 218 exists, but this kiss is so good. Kazuya doesn't have a typical hero's journey. His journey is not linear. It's more like a roller coaster. He has ascended and descended a few times. So I somewhat disagree. Early story, in the very beginning of Rent-A-Girlfriend, it is a traditional hero's journey. Early Rent-A-Girlfriend is absolutely a very traditional hero's journey. But it's not, the difference is that it's not a loop. A hero's journey is a loop, so it ends, right? And then it just restarts and it keeps restarting. So in a sense, that's what Kazuya is experiencing, like a loop. But for Kazuya, it's actually more of a spiral, where yes, it's technically not a traditional hero's journey, but it also is. When it begins to transform is at like the Hawaiians arc, where the Hawaiians arc is like all these revelations he thought he understood were not what he imagined, which could in turn also be exactly like the hero's journey, but it shatters his perception. When they return from the Hawaiians arc after their hero's journey, they have lost all sense of who they are. So Hawaiians arc is almost like a deconstruction of the hero's journey. Everything up until Hawaiians was a traditional hero's journey. Hawaiians is like, your understanding of this hero's journey is flawed, and it proceeds to deconstruct and flip that on its head and introduce a new hero's journey by literally giving Kazuya a home and having him go through a hero's journey in that home and not realize it, only to leave that home. And now that's where we are in this broken hero's journey, where now Kazuya is undergoing a broken hero's journey where he thinks he's undergoing a natural hero's journey. In reality, he's already undergone it. He doesn't realize it, and he's essentially looping back to his old self to realize he's already done this shit. So he's essentially trying to go through a loop, and he doesn't realize he's already done this loop. He's just tricking himself into this fake hero's journey. Anyways, so okay, we already talked about Minnie does not understand Chizuru. No chapters better exemplify that Minnie does not understand Chizuru. Okay, so let me read this. Minnie does not understand Chizuru, just a facade of Chizuru, a mask of her. That's Minnie's core flaw. For how great she is at grabbing eyes, she cannot see others clearly, merely their reflections. Parts only shown when Chizuru is guarded or blatantly confused, not when she is truly herself. No chapters better exemplify this than chapters 387 and 390. When Minnie is being incredibly invasive with Chizuru, and Chizuru presents herself as callous purely because of how Minnie is acting. Yet Minnie does not see this at all, blind to the love all around her. When in chapter 235, she looks at Chizuru and blatantly says what she is feeling is love. Whereas when the love is literally all around her, she can't see it. Right? Chapter 387, when she's visiting Chizuru's home, it's so obvious Chizuru's in fucking love. It's so obvious Chizuru is literally in fucking La La Land, totally in love. Minnie can't see it this time. How ironic. Do you see why I describe Minnie as Ruka's inverse? For they are both characters who are blind to themselves, but in inverted ways. Ruka in not seeing her actions and the consequences of said actions, Minnie in not seeing her words. Ruka also tries to reforge Kazuya into someone else, not seeing him despite loving him. Minnie is flipped. She is looking at Kazuya, she notices he isn't himself, but she doesn't see her influence on that, just like Ruka. Why do you think chapter 389 and 403 are both of them being in his room? Both of them sit at the edge of Kazuya's bed. The difference is Minnie has Kazuya carry her, whereas Ruka actually gets on top of Kazuya's bed and gets on top of him. Both characters are on top of Kazuya, except Minnie is like a burden on his back, right? Chizuru doesn't want to be a burden to Kazuya. She doesn't want Kazuya to carry him. What does Minnie do? Minnie is quite literally an actual burden on Kazuya's back. In contrast, where's Ruka? Ruka is on top of him. Ruka is physically on his chest. Minnie is on his back. Ruka is on his chest. They're literally inverted. And both of these scenes do something similar. You see the clock right here. And look, you see the clock again. And both of these are things Kazuya wanted, but not how he imagined them. Kazuya is reenacting the scene he experienced with Chizuru with Minnie. It's not real, it's fake. Kazuya is having a sexual relation that he dreamed of with Chizuru with Ruka. Ruka is seemingly saying all these sexual things, but none of them perfectly align with what's actually going on. Huh. Literally, both of these experiences are wrong. Why do you think chapter 389, 403 are both of them being in his room and physically touching him? Minnie getting on Kazuya's back while Ruka gets on top of him. All of this is to say, it's clear Minnie is making Kazuya's guilt worse. He is not going to talk to her as a friend, but as someone he is confessing a sin to. Minnie is a judge of his worth. Literally, what is Minnie constantly talking about? Him becoming a better man, him being worthy. Therefore, she is a judge on whether he succeeded in becoming a better man, if he succeeded in becoming worthy. Right? So she is a judge of him, similar to how Umi judges Chizuru. Right? Umi stands above Chizuru. There's an intentional contrast between how Ruka looks here and how Umi looks in chapter, where is it? 395. Minnie is below Kazuya, Umi is framed as above Chizuru. Isn't that interesting? How are you doing? I'm good. Hello, new person, Leslie. Welcome. Right? There's a contrast. Umi is above, Minnie is below. And both of them are intentionally framed as judges. Let's see. She tells him if he is worthy, contrasting Sumi, who listens and empathizes with him. Minnie will accept Kazuya's feelings if she deems them good enough. Sumi will not dismiss any of his feelings as good or bad, as a rental girlfriend should, for it is a job about respecting people's emotions regardless of how society may perceive them, sharing and connecting in them. I think Minnie will tell Kazuya to hide this, or maybe at the very least indicate something negative to him, to not let it out in some way, maybe to not tell Chizuru. She will make him feel what he did would end things despite continuing to present herself as his friend. This will make Kazuya feel more isolated and alone, and that's where I think Sumi will come in. Minnie's role as the mentor will be shattered, for she was never Kazuya's mentor or disciple, while Sumi, a person Kazuya and Chizuru actually mentored, reaches Kazuya and frees him as she freed her as she was freed, as she freed Chizuru from her guilt, just as they saved her, saving them from their darkness. Chizuru and Sumi even work an inverted job to Minnie. Minnie works a job where she sells people a mask, both as a cosplayer and a YouTuber. Chizuru is an actress and a rental girlfriend, but she actually interacts with people. She doesn't just form parasocial relationships like Minnie. Minnie admires realness for this exact reason, yet she ultimately falls back into the trap of fakeness, of a fictional understanding of the world to define the real things. Minnie is like a paradox, trapped between the diluted nature of social media and real human bonds, not fully seeing things clearly. Minnie is not a bad person, just one who is not aware of what she puts out. She is in many ways kind of like Umi. She sees a lot of fake people and wants something real, but her understanding is built on that fiction. So she sees it all the time, even when it's not there. Minnie showing up is a perfect parallel to that. I'm not sharing that, Leslie. I just met you. I don't think I have a reason to share that with you. Let's see. Minnie suddenly showing up right after Umi is a pretty interesting considering how similar they appear. Right? It's pretty coincidental that she shows up at the right exact fucking time right after Umi. It's kind of nuts, you know. Let's see. Minnie is framed like Kazuya's pupil who became the master. She's framed like the pupil who became the master. In reality, it is a student who Minnie. In reality, she is a student who must realize they have not actually understood what they were learning at all. While Sumi is a student who became the teacher, and Kazuya accepting and remembering he is an experienced pro. This is all about discovering and accepting who we are, a journey of identity, for we cannot know who we are if we do not remember ourselves, if we cannot see all of who we are and accept it. Guilt is a part of that journey, for we must face our darkness and see how others feel it too. So let's see. I wrote this other thing here. When the fortune machine asks the characters about cheating, with Minnie, Kazuya answers the question too slowly, and Minnie gets into his head about it. With Chizuru, Kazuya answers too quickly, and Chizuru says that's suspicious, only to laugh it off. Chizuru never doubted him. Minnie absolutely did. Right? Immediately, what? Have you? Right? Really confrontational, immediately scares Kazuya. He doesn't know if this counts as cheating. Isn't that interesting considering what Kazuya and Chizuru talk about? Chizuru asks Kazuya what he considers cheating, and in turn, Kazuya asks her, and she doesn't know. Huh. Right? Minnie is immediately like, I didn't cheat, and she thinks she understands what cheating is. Kazuya doesn't understand what cheating is, and he's been through weird experiences, so he's not sure what constitutes cheating. Right? He doesn't know if what Ruka did to him constitutes as cheating. It doesn't, but he doesn't know. Minnie judges him immediately. Chizuru doesn't because they both agree they don't understand they're not 100% sure what constitutes as cheating. That's the difference. Chizuru is understanding and doesn't judge him and doesn't constitute what he does as cheating. She doesn't even know for sure if it is. Right? And she just laughs it off. One is of understanding, one is of judgment. There's a repeating motif of judgment from Minnie instead of understanding. Minnie in 392 talks about how Chizuru has a hint of distrust towards men. In reality, it is Minnie herself, but more accurately, it is not a distrust of men or women, but of love. Minnie doubts love and fears it, while Chizuru deeply values and cares about love despite her confusion. Speaking of this, Minnie believing Chizuru has a distrust of men may tell Kazuya this, which would scare him significantly. Kazuya overthinks and needs reassurance, not fear, and Minnie will most likely introduce this fear and make him retreat, feeling the need to hide as she does. Minnie's return holds a lot of secret weight. This connects to chapter 340, where she and Kazuya discuss cheating and how they would react. And most importantly, how Minnie reacts to being asked, "Do you value your lover more than your friend?" She hides her answer. If 409 introduces the idea of how perception shapes reality, 410 returns to the source of these views, the crafter of illusions, a person who walks into the gym and merely takes a picture to look like they're exercising when they are not, a liar who builds her truth on fiction. I meant to write truth here, I wrote lies. I'm annoyed by that, actually. And then I think there were a few more things that I bookmarked. So let me pull them up. Yeah, there were a few other things I bookmarked. Let me pull them up. So over here, I was talking to this user named Tunder. Tundri? Are they supposed to be Sundere, but Tundere? So they say, we were talking about the title and how the title was incorrect. I said, he says, I was probably overthinking it in a pretty simplistic way. Maybe because work's been so busy. Ever since they started living together, Minnie has tended to steer things in the worst direction more often than not. She gives advice based on general common sense stuff, but she doesn't really understand the specifics of how Chizuru feels or what's going on with her. And Kazuya, out of fear, has been avoiding facing Chizuru directly, so he just blindly swallows whatever Minnie says, which creates this growing disconnect. The big difference from everything up until now, though, is that the scene with Umi, reveals to Kazuya a side of Chizuru's feelings that he never even imagined. It's not like that alone is going to make a magically change everything overnight, but I'd like to believe that at least he won't just blindly accept other people's opinions the way he used to. That said, it feels like they're planting some foreshadowing here, and Sumi's storyline is probably about to kick off. In order for Sumi to get involved with Kazuya, Chizuru will need to intervene. I elaborate onto this. I think the issue goes deeper than just that. Minnie herself has a distrust of love. She is Kazuya's friend, but cannot properly see him. Sumi's return may be simpler, akin to older days. Chizuru just texts Kazuya that Sumi wants to see him. Simplicity may be the key here. So let's see what else. So this person mentioned, isn't it kind of odd that Minnie didn't mention anything about Kazuya's hair? She didn't say anything about his birthday either. Could this mean that they met before but didn't see it? So I said, that's actually what chapter 410 is implying. Minnie already saw his hair and maybe said something about his birthday, which is a repeating motif as of late. What we think is important isn't being treated with the same importance and even acts as a source of fear. And this is where we go to where is it? Right here. Kazuya's new hair is not being used how it was first presented. So Kazuya's hair is a part of the masks, right? So Kazuya's hair is another mask. It's another thing that you're not considering. Let's see how it's being presented. Kazuya's new hair is not being used how it was first presented, as a big deal. It has yet to be interpreted as that by anyone. If anything, it acts as a device to show us how important it is for Kazuya, but not anyone else, as well as reflect his insecurities through its ridicule, right? Every time Kazuya imagines maybe Chizuru, Ruka, or even Minnie criticizing him, they imagine him telling him his hair looks stupid. Every time. He always imagines them telling him his hair looks stupid. Did your change of hair make you completely lose your mind? It's as if, hey, Your change of hair is stupid. Your choices are stupid. Right? That's what his hair represents, his choices. And it's essentially like every time he imagines them telling him, "Oh, your hair looks stupid," is like, "You're stupid. Your choices are stupid." It's clear that no one has yet seen what it really means for Kazuya, what his hair means for him, how important changing his hair is to him, a character who's very much defined by his hair color. Chizuru literally remembers Kazuya when looking at a fucking carrot because of his goddamn hair color. Yet, at the same time, how that hair is a thinly veiled disguise for his desire to be loved and accepted. Okay, what else do I got? I should have some other bookmarks. If I don't, I'll just finish reading on Reddit. Oh yeah, they have this like cool exhibition for this new art Reiji did. It's a pop-up shop. I was blown away by the venue's size and the amazing variety of merch. So Reiji did these art pieces for the characters, and they have these pop-up shops, and you can get like, these credit cards. They made these like little credit cards. They've done this before. This is not new. They're getting these like little credit cards, and you can get a lot of cool things. They have a lot of cool merch. Like I do want to get some of this merch, but hopefully like it won't be too expensive. But yeah, this does look really cool. So at the end of this arc, what would his hair color be? I think whenever we like complete this arc, it should hopefully go back to normal. But if it doesn't, it's basically about Kazuya's choices. And Kazuya making these choices because he wants to. Not because anyone is telling him to, not because he needs to do it for a job, not because of any of this crap. Just because he wants to. So I think it should go back to normal. He should return to his original hair. If that is what he desires. Right? If Kazuya wants to go back to his original hair, I think he will. My guess is he will return to his original hair because it's going to be about self-acceptance. His hair currently changing is about him changing who he is because he thinks his external change will magically represent something different. But I think in Kazuya accepting himself, he'll go back to his original hair. I genuinely think so. So I do think at some point we will return to Kazuya's original hair. But it'll be about Kazuya accepting himself. You think Kazuya can pull off purplish pink hair? No. That sounds weird. Oh, no. Definitely not. I think it could be fun as like a cosplay, but definitely not. Okay. Let's see. Is there anything else? Yeah. So this is where the Japanese fan said that Ruka started doing less issues. So I saw Iamori-san charges at Ruka-chan. Ruka-chan drops a secret with Kazuya, hint to take the height. So they're imagining Minnie getting into a fight with Ruka, which I don't necessarily disagree with. I think it is totally possible. I just don't know how it would go down. You know, Yamori counters. So Ruka drops a secret with Kazuya, hint to take a high ground. Yamori-san counters with, "I already know that, though," to take a high ground. Battle over who knows Kazuya better ramps up. Ruka-chan sees through and calls out Yamori-san's feelings of love. Yamori-san blushes harder than ever before. I grin. Ruka has always been the one to call people out for their feelings, so it could totally work. Okay, it doesn't look like I have anything else. Let's see if there's anything interesting left on Reddit. I agree the focus on this chapter is Kazuya's guilt, not his sexual desires. Oh, no, it is definitely about his sexual desires. It is totally there. The desire might be a huge part of why he feels guilty, but it isn't the only thing. Chizuru's seriousness makes him feel unworthy. Minnie's positive words make him feel undeserving. Worth. I think this chapter is actually about worth. I think the true theme of this chapter is worth and the disguise of worth, not guilt. Not guilt. It's how you define worth. This chapter is about how you define worth and how when you feel guilt, you cannot ever view yourself as worthy. So no, I think this chapter's theme is worth. It is intentionally being told to you. Whereas next chapter's theme is guilt. Next chapter's theme is guilt and the sin of guilt. let's see. So, yeah, I kind of somewhat disagree. I think this chapter's theme is worth. It's not just what Ruka did, it's the entirety of his unresolved issues that make the guilt he feels unbearable. Minnie isn't being superficial. She absolutely is. Minnie is absolutely being superficial as shit, dude. Hell yeah, she is. Bro, 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 bro. Minnie isn't being superficial? Hell no. Hell no. Okay, 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 okay. Hey, I love Minnie too. She's being superficial as fuck, bro. Here, I'm gonna just read for you what I wrote. Let me pull it up. I'm just gonna go to the page right here. We're gonna wait over here. Excuse me. I'm gonna pull my shit up. Okay. The theme of this chapter is looking you dead in the eye and lying to you. Every single part of this chapter is a big lie. The cover is even a lie, except for Kazuya's face. The one thing that tells Minnie he's lying, while she openly lies to him. Knowing exactly how to take a good selfie, unlike Ruka, and in turn knowing exactly how to make herself look attractive while working out to get Kazuya's attention. With Reiji specifically referencing the Kardashians, people who know exactly how to present themselves in attractive ways to viewers. As men all stare at Minnie working out when she is only come on. When she's only going oh my god, come on. When she just blatantly said before she didn't want to. Minnie blatantly said before she didn't want to work out. She said it right here. She says it right here, and then she works out later. She shows up to the gym to take a picture and then leave. She straight up just lied to her audience. She's like, this is my gym. I signed up for this gym. She's not even going to fucking work out. She did it to take a picture and leave. She's not even being honest about why she's being here. She's literally fucking lying. She's being superficial and fake as fuck. Minnie's hella being superficial as fuck. Are you kidding? She absolutely is. All the while, while pretending to work out, adding to Kazuya. All the while working out, adding to Kazuya's guilt. As if to foreshadow, she is only going to make his feelings worse because all Minnie knows how to do is hide the truth, not truly discuss it. A contrast to Sumi. Even the title is a lie. Do you see Kazuya's pecs once in this chapter? Right? The chapter title is The Boyfriend and the Pecs. Do you see Kazuya's pecs once in this chapter besides the cover? The cover doesn't count because the cover is a lie. No, you never see Kazuya's pecs once. Who do you see, though? What do you see? You see Minnie's boobs, a.k.a. her pecs. It's like the chapter should be called The Girlfriend and the Boobs, or her boobs, instead of The Boyfriend and his pecs. The chapter title is literally a lie. Huh. You do see Minnie's boobs, though, a whole lot. You thought you would see Sumi, but instead you see Minnie. This entire chapter is lying to you. Minnie is absolutely being superficial as fuck. She's not a no. You can be a real person who's not superficial and do superficial shit. She's absolutely being superficial in this chapter. 100%. Bro, I was thinking about joining the gym myself. When I heard you starting coming here, Master, I thought I'd be perfect. Takes a picture, wants to leave. So, you didn't actually want to join the gym. You wanted to join the gym to take a picture. You fake as fuck little shit. Right? Really? Nothing at all. I mean, it's exhausting. If I don't leave now, the nerds will show up. That's pretty superficial shit. What does Minnie say here? Oh, wow, cool. They have a pool table. They have self-serve hair removal, beauty salons, and even teeth whitening. This place is perfect for your self-improvement to become a better man. None of this is about becoming a better man. This is just superficial shit. So she's being superficial. Straight up, am I wrong? Every single thing she's talking about is literally just your mask. How you present yourself. That's purely superficial. That has nothing to do with being a better man. That is superficial. Whether that is in her intention or not, it is superficial. Furthermore, right? She says she's not going to work out, and then she chooses to work out. But why does she choose to work out? The only reason she does it is because this machine was used by a celebrity once. Not because she actually wants to use it, but because a celebrity used it. Kazuya says, that's what you judge it by? If this is what she judges a machine by, how is she going to judge him on his feelings? It is superficial. What do the guys react to? Many saying, oh, it's easy. You can do this very easily, right? And they react to Minnie, her boobs, her surface level, her mask. Right? They all react. All the dudes are reacting to the mask, to the superficial shit. This is just superficial horny shit. Yeah, you're going to get horny over this. It's just superficial, though. And then the mask finally drops in the end, but it's still confrontational and somewhat superficial. Right? You get something real in the end, but it's built on all the lies presented in the chapter. She is absolutely being superficial, dude. It doesn't mean she's a superficial person. There's a difference. Right? Remember when Chizuru misjudged her when she suggested to take pictures of the birthday cake? Exactly. Why did Chizuru misjudge her? Because Minnie was being superficial. What does Minnie constantly focus on? Chizuru's face. Constantly. What does Minnie get Chizuru for her birthday? What does Minnie get Chizuru for her birthday? Makeup. Your mask, your face, the superficial shit. Minnie is not a superficial person. She is trapped in a superficial world. She defines the world around her by superficial elements. She's not superficial. She just doesn't recognize how she is in the same time. She can be both superficial and real. But that's the thing. Even her realness is somewhat defined by superficiality without her even realizing. A big thing, since you mentioned Chizuru's birthday, here. I think this best describes my point perfectly. Doesn't it feel weird, like turning someone's birthday into some sort of cheap festival? She actually looks at her here. Do you not actually like this? Oh, I don't mind if you don't either. My train of thought goes to the weirdest places. She admits it. Of course, it's a really pretty cake would get a lot of likes. It makes sense, but I don't think I want to use someone else's birthday for something like that. This is where something important happens here. These are Minnie's actual values. She's not actually seeing Chizuru. A birthday party is not something for someone else to celebrate, but a way to show how grateful you are that someone was born into this world. I want to show you gratitude even though I can't see you. Chizuru's eyes are wide open. Minnie's eyes are closed. She can't see her. These are just Minnie's values. She doesn't actually see Chizuru. This is how Minnie is superficial. Minnie is superficial without realizing she's superficial because she doesn't realize they share the same exact belief. She doesn't think Chizuru shares this exact same belief. She doesn't know if she does. She never checks if she does. She doesn't know they believe the same exact thing. In that same way, something similar happens later. 273. Does this panel style seem familiar to you? Does this panel style seem familiar to you? Oh, look, Minnie's eyes are closed again, and Chizuru's eyes are wide open. Minnie can't see him. Minnie can't see Chizuru, but Chizuru can see Minnie. And Minnie doesn't realize how similar they are, how similar their values are. Minnie's issue is she's trapped in these superficial beliefs of other people, while her beliefs are rooted in reality. And that trap blinds her to the people around her. This is literally what I was describing. She's really good at grabbing eyes, yet she has a hard time seeing other people. That is why Minnie is superficial. She has a hard time truly seeing other people. That is how Minnie is superficial. It's literally what I wrote in my fucking thread. This is literally what I fucking said. This is the paradox of Minnie. She's both aware Kazuya is not himself, but not aware of her own influence on that. How she adds to that guilt, how she doesn't make him feel comfortable to talk, but ironically pressures him to do so. She doesn't want to pressure him, yet she's doing that. In turn, doesn't that make Minnie seem like she's really superficial? She doesn't notice that what she's doing is superficial. All of this to say, Minnie is clearly making Kazuya's guilt. Where did I say? I say somewhere around here. Ruka is not seeing her actions. Minnie is not seeing her words. Okay, Minnie does not understand Chizuru, just a facade of Chizuru, a mask of hers, because that's what Minnie knows. Masks. Minnie wants something real, but she understands people by their masks because all she interacts with is masks. She thinks Kazuya doesn't wear any masks because Kazuya acts a certain way around her. He absolutely wears a mask. She just doesn't notice it. That's Minnie's core flaw. For how great she is at grabbing eyes, she cannot see others clearly. I'm not saying she can't see people, I'm saying she can't see them clearly. That's what makes her somewhat superficial. She merely sees their reflections. Parts only shown when Chizuru is guarded or blatantly confused, not when she is herself. No chapter better exemplifies this than 387 and 390, when Minnie is being incredibly invasive with Chizuru, does not realize that, and in turn, Chizuru presents herself as callous purely because of how Minnie is acting. Yet Minnie does not see this at all, blind to the love all around her when in 235 she saw that Chizuru was in love. This is how Minnie is superficial. She doesn't realize she's being superficial, just as Ruka doesn't. They're not superficial people. They're literally not, but they have superficial flaws, which makes them interesting characters. That is literally real people in real life. Case in point. You don't want someone to lie to you, right? You don't want someone to lie to you, right? Except you do, depending on what the lie is. So, for instance, you want your friend to tell you the truth of how they think about you. What if they say something really mean and it really fucking hurts? Okay, what did that accomplish? What did that accomplish? It just hurt your feelings some more. Like, you don't need to know this super mean shit. Like, they probably think something mean about you, but it's not a big deal. There's a reason they don't mention it. It doesn't define the relationship. So, but if there was a real issue, they would mention it. You see what I mean? So, in some ways, we do like some elements of lies. We're somewhat comfortable with lies, you know? We don't want someone to constantly tell us negative things. We don't constantly tell the people around us these. We don't immediately judge them for every little thing we don't like about them. We're okay with. It's okay to have a mask and to not always tell the truth, because because a lie isn't necessarily something bad, but there are lies you shouldn't tell. That's where the nuance gets lost. I'm not saying lying in general is good. I'm saying everybody lies, and where that lie comes from defines whether the lie is good or bad. Okay? Unfortunately, you would see a character like Minnie who desperately wants realness and in turn puts out fake stuff and doesn't realize she's doing this. That makes Minnie really interesting as a character. That she has this flaw that runs counter to who she is and what she desires. She desires something real so desperately, yet she puts out fiction into the world. Minnie doesn't tell you who she is. You don't know her backstory. You don't know anything about her. You barely know jack shit about Minnie. Right? You barely know jack shit about Minnie. You don't actually know all that much about her. You don't know her family. You don't know her high school life. You don't know anything. And yet, it doesn't feel like Minnie is inherently a bad person. That juxtaposition between these two contrasting elements is what makes Minnie so interesting as a character. That morally gray nature of her character. That she's not some perfect messiah just because she's literally an inverse of Chizuru. She's literally an inverse of she doesn't realize how similar she is to Chizuru because she's so blinded by these superficial things. She cannot see her similarities to Chizuru because she's so blinded by this stuff. Because Chizuru also works a job surrounded by superficial people. She also works this job. She can also be a little bit judgmental sometimes. And yet, for that, but the difference between Minnie and Chizuru is that Chizuru actually interacts with people through rental, actually shares in their emotions and in their feelings. Chizuru knows the real value of this stuff, but also doesn't doubt and judge people based on how they appear to her because she wears a mask. And she sees how other people around her wear a mask, and she helps these people take the mask off and feel comfortable to let themselves out. Minnie judges you for the mask. Chizuru doesn't judge you for the mask. That's the difference. That is the core difference between Chizuru and Minnie. Minnie wants something real because she's surrounded by a lot of people who put on masks. She tells herself she doesn't judge you for the mask, yet her words betray her. She does judge you. She just acts like she doesn't. And she does this a lot. That is Minnie's core flaw. She is actually quite judgmental and is actually quite superficial when you put on a mask because she wants you to be real with her. Yet she's not comfortable when you're too real with her. The problem is that Minnie's a very susceptible person. The world around her is a superficial, especially the anime and video games she likes so much. No, 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 no. There comes a point when it is on you. There comes a point when it is on you, and you cannot blame the world around you. It is the same exact thing with Minnie. She has reached a point where she cannot blame the world around her. She has made this choice herself. She has chosen to be a superficial person, despite desiring something real so desperately, despite recognizing something real, despite recognizing when Kazuya wears a mask. This is good character writing. This is what good character writing looks like. When someone both desires something real, and yet they put out fiction into the world. This is literally what Expedition 33 does, right? It writes a character. It writes pretty much all the characters are like this in Expedition 33, right? They're all like complicated characters with morally gray choices, that don't necessarily do right things, but they aren't necessarily bad people either. This is very much similar to that. A lot less morally gray, like a lot less morally gray than Expedition 33. Where in Expedition 33, I think a lot of the people actually kind of fucking suck, you know. But in this case, I think the character writing in that story is really good. Good night, sir. Take care. Off topic, crazy thought. Do you think Kazuya's hair will remind Chizuru of her grandfather when they meet again? Will he go back to blonde? Kazuya isn't blonde. The whole idea is that he's losing his identity and is starting to look like someone else. It may do that. It may remind her of her grandfather. I don't know. When you confess, you want them to be honest, but you also want them to say yes, even if it's a lie. Yeah, but eventually you won't be content with that lie. You know, that's more of a. You're hoping for a yes, but you know if it's not a yes, and you know you're not comfortable with that. If my haircut makes my forehead look so big that you can fit a MacBook on it, I don't want you to see it. I don't want you to say it. I think I might like if I actually like want you to say it, I'll be like, okay, let me know, right? Have a good night, Fate. Gotta get settled, bed. Civil chat. I'm gonna finish shortly. Um, okay, there's a little too much. I might stream again later, and we might continue this. There's too much. I'm not reading all this. This is a mistake waiting to happen. There's way too much. So I think I might call it here. I think this is a good stop. I think this is a solid spot to stop. We covered pretty much most of what we wanted to. I think I talked about a decent amount of stuff. So slight update for those who are still here. I may continue my Kingdom Hearts stream. I kind of want to. So I may continue my Kingdom Hearts stream. I don't know if I'll do it tomorrow or if I'll do it another time, but I'm kind of debating it. I'm kind of debating continuing my Kingdom Hearts stream. Although it might. I'm going to get back home a little late tomorrow, so We'll see. I don't know if I'll continue it tomorrow. I may continue it tomorrow. Want to hear a joke before I go? Sure, Bacon. Hit me with your best shot. So yeah, tomorrow I may continue Kingdom Hearts. It might be just like a brief stream where we play a little bit. We'll see. I know Kingdom Hearts is on sale. I think it's on sale on Steam. Let me check. Oh, yeah, let me bring Bacon back up while I check Steam. Disney weekend deal. Does that count for Kingdom Hearts? Kingdom Hearts is Disney. And then I think I'll also play Resident Evil. Oh my god. You mean Kingdom Hearts. I think I'll also play Resident Evil when Resident Evil 9 comes out. I definitely kind of want to play it on stream, so I think I'll do that. Okay. It looks like it's on sale. Can I get the whole collection? 50 bucks for the whole collection. Maybe I should. I'll add it to cart for now. So what does that include? 1.5, 2.5, 2.8, and Kingdom Hearts 3 plus Remind DLC. Oh, it doesn't include Melody of Memory. Thanks for the deep dive. Gave me a lot to think about in terms of my own writing, to be honest. Hey, glad to help. Glad to help. Glad to hear you continuing your KH stream. I kind of want to. I don't know why. I kind of want it to. You know, I was just like, you know what? I kind of want to keep going. Because I've been thinking about KH a lot lately. Like, I kind of want to keep going. I feel like some games are not really well appreciated, and I'd love to appreciate them on stream. You like Kingdom Hearts? I thought you were only into good writing media. Kingdom Hearts has some good writing. Kingdom Hearts genuinely has some solid writing, and I think the sad thing about Kingdom Hearts is that a lot of the later series get a lot of flack, but a lot of people don't realize a lot of it is because of localization and how the localization handles it. So it looks like it's bad writing. In reality, when you jump into some of the text, it actually like in the Japanese text, it's actually like a lot more consistent and a lot less bad writing. There is some stupid shit. Don't get me wrong, but it's endearing. Kingdom Hearts has stupid shit, but it can be endearing, and I genuinely think Kingdom Hearts has some great fucking writing. I just think people tend to underestimate it a lot because it looks dumb in certain instances. But a lot of people who play Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2, they're like, holy shit, this is really good. Chain of Memories has shit gameplay, but its story is not half bad. What is it? Birth by Sleep, the prequel, is considered like, oh no, this is when the series gets bad. And I'm like, no, I think a lot of it has to do with the localization. Because I played Birth by Sleep, and I was just like, oh, wow, the localization, fuck this game. Like, I could just feel it. Because I've interacted with so many animes. I've interacted with so much shit by this point that, like, I can just tell when I'm just like, oh, okay, this shit is not landing because they didn't know how to translate these jokes. They didn't know how to make, like, the characters sound or act a certain way. These voice actors were not given good vocal direction. A whole bunch of shit like this. Like literally the vocal direction in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, which is the one like a lot of people love to make fun of for bad writing, has so much stuff that like you can tell, oh, this actor they handled really well because he's an experienced actual voice actor. Like they had Mark Hamill, aka the Joker, Luke Skywalker, playing one of the characters in that story, and he actually sounds really fucking good. Like he makes his lines fucking land. They had Leonard Nimoy, aka Spock, from Star Trek, playing the villain. Holy shit! Amazing fucking voice acting. He makes his lines land. Whereas a lot of the people who play the lead characters are a lot more new to it, so their lines are just not landing, and the dialogue they're being given is a fucking mess. Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days, stupid fucking name, I know, works. It's a really good fucking game, but it's like a deconstruction of how video games could possibly work. Kingdom Hearts Recoded is stupid. There, I said it. Kingdom Hearts Recoded is stupid as fuck. It is not a great game. Pretty much the only thing that matters is the ending. Dream Drop Distance. Actually, genuinely a good fucking story. Like, literally, there's so much good writing. The stuff that's, like, coming up now is so fucking scary. Like, modern Union Cross is like the fucking mobile game, which I cannot believe they put that shit on a goddamn mobile game. It's so well written. That shit's so well written. I cannot believe they put that shit in a fucking mobile game and you can't access it anymore. What the shit? It's getting late. I gotta stop. I'm gonna stop. We'll talk about this in my Kingdom Hearts stream. We're gonna talk about this in my Kingdom Hearts stream. Kingdom Hearts is good. That's where we're gonna end it. Kingdom Hearts is actually a good fucking game series. It's just it has stuff that I think people tend to misunderstand. And yes, it also has stupid stuff. That doesn't mean I just ignore it and say it's terribly written just because it has some stupid shit in it. Anyways, good night, Fate. It's late here. I would be nice to see gameplay streams with you commentary. Take care. What I remember in Must Cage were the nobodies. The nobodies were good. The MCs are garbage, though. Sora is an amazing fucking character. Sora is an amazingly written character, and I cannot believe you're saying that. He's an amazing fucking character. I feel like you don't really remember him very well because he's a really well-written character. So Sora is actually such a good character. Anyways, we're gonna end it here. I'll probably stream Kingdom Hearts maybe tomorrow, and then I'll go from there. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'm gonna continue Kingdom Hearts tomorrow. We'll play a little more. Please tune in. Please tune in. For those who are watching, please tune in to the fucking stream. There was nobody last time. It sucked. You know, we need some more people. Bring in some love. We're playing the game about hearts, bro. Bring in some love. Anywho, take care. See you guys later. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good night.